This is Jordan Grace, and you're listening to the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
BWB, this is One Nation Radio. You better get it right. Rich Latta, James Boyd came to give them life. The Blackest Wrestling Podcast has come to kick all ass and drop it 6 feet if they kicking trash. Word, let me welcome y'all to something different. And if you dig it, man, you should let some friends listen. We be getting it in, this on the regular dude. Ravish and flow, but this shit rude. See, James don't rap, so I had to break it down. The whole network, man, we coming for the crown. Raps in the columns, I keep them both covered. Making the beats too, so the listeners can bump it. Hit us with the rating, yeah, I'm saying it's a 5. Before you hit it, talk, bob your head side to side. It's One Nation Radio, and this is the beginning. It's Rich, and I'm here with James. It's time to listen to One Nation.
We got to unleash the power of the pyramid.
This is Mike Sempervive from WrestlingObserver.com. Check me out on Wrestling Observer Live every day. And also check out your boys, Rich and James, on One Nation Radio.
This is Kenny Omega. We're listening to One Nation Radio. Check it out, guys. These guys know what's up. Big Kenny Omega fans. That's all it counts to me. Goodbye and good night.
Hey, folks. Welcome back. Or we welcome ourselves back. I don't know how that goes, but we're back. One Nation Radio is back, and we are here to give you the review for Double or Nothing, and also Stardom's Flashing Champions. And it's been a minute, man. A lot of stuff going on. Rich now lives. He's now a Georgia resident. Like Rich, real soon will have a camera in a piece in his license plate, much like Young Jeezy. Real soon. Let's tell the people about like what's going on with you and your story, and like, you know, any other details you feel like divulging with the listeners.
Yeah, man. So I now live in Georgia, just outside of Atlanta, and you know, it was a quick process, but a long one at the same time, because like we had kind of been like looking at, you know, moving myself and my wife for quite a while, and you know, in Florida, you know, based on what you can get in Georgia versus what you pay in Florida for it, it's like it's a stark difference. Like you can get a lot more here in Georgia, and besides, you know, with the opportunities for music, I thought it would be a nice, you know, fresh start and all that. And James was kind enough to drive the U-Haul for me up here and help me move. So once again, thanks to James. And you know, we moved like all this stuff and all that, and pulled up, new house, no one's ever lived here. Thought it was pretty cool. Ironically, I live like 6 minutes away from the Nightmare Factory. People are actually mentioning it in the comments right now. I took a look on the map. It was pretty funny. But yeah, you know, it's been cool so far. I still work from home, so I haven't really like explored a ton, but I've gone out a little bit. I went to the studio already and met up with JL, probably like my third day here.
JL, for those that know, is one of Rich's like close friends growing up in Springfield, Massachusetts.
Yeah, and JL, he's a producer, he's an engineer. He engineers at some studio in downtown Atlanta. He was basically telling me everything is like within 10 minutes of there. He was like, Outcast Studios like 10 minutes away from there, and anything that needs to happen. Like the first day there, I actually met like the biggest DJ at Magic City. I believe there's a guy named DJ Outer Space. So that was pretty cool. So just, you know, trying to make more connections, and you know, just keep pushing and grinding with the music stuff. So and I believe Battle Slam is out here, which is Baron Black's promotion that Little Scrappy has appeared in and stuff like that. I think I'm going to drop by there. I think I am going to drop by the Nightmare Factory on some, you know, hey, do y'all want to break some bread for some music, you know, type shit. So like there's going to be, you know, there's a lot of freelancing going on, but yeah, man, it's just a new chapter. And the thing I kind of thought about was I never really picked a place to live. Like, you know, when I was younger, I just got moved around the country, and then I just ended up staying or whatever. But it was, you know, pretty cool to kind of pick where we wanted to be, at least for a little bit, and then you know, see how it goes.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So just for the listeners, so I don't know how much of y'all know this. I'm sure you've heard it in some of the songs in passing, but like Rich said, the whole thing about James nice enough to drive the U-Haul. I don't know if it's so much about James not driving the U-Haul as much as it was. I said I was gonna go help you, get your shit up there, and you say you were gonna drive, but then like you picked me up from my spot to get to your spot to get the last stuff and then get out of here, and I had forgot that Rich drives speed limit or even below the speed limit, and I was like, oh, I can't have this for what was basically like a 7-hour or 6-hour, 7-hour trip turned into 8 hours. I'm not doing it. So I was like, nah. Like I understand, luckily nothing happened, but if something happened, it would have been terrible. But I just like, nah, man, I'll drive. And plus I like driving anyway. So like if there was any little thing, I would have been like, nah, I'll drive. So that's kind of how it is with everybody. Like I'm always the person driving. So, yeah, man, we end up getting to Rich's spot, and like Rich lives on a hill, but he's on the downside of the hill. So like his driveway, you go down a steep hill, and I was like, okay, so like it was so steep that we're like, you can't back the U-Haul in, otherwise like all this shit once he opens up the thing might just slide down. That's how steep this hill was. All right, so we had to park it at the top. And it's not a long driveway, it's just a steep driveway. So like it's, getting stuff out and everything. And yeah, man, it was just funny, like, take one trip up the hill. Okay. You keep taking trips up the hill and you're just like, boy, this is the thing. This is some good workout. This is a good workout. And like at one point I said to Rich, like, hey man, like, you and this motherfucker like Jerry Rice, you just running up and down a hill for training your whole life. Like, I don't know if y'all noticed, like Jerry Rice has like this big gigantic hill because he grew up around this gigantic hill he worked out on as a kid, and also with his dad being a roofer, whereas like he had to basically train by running up a steep hill, running down a steep hill, and he used to have people train with him, other pro bowlers and stuff, and people that were Heisman candidate stuff, train with him, and them dudes would be over there puking because Jerry Rice is every day running that hill. Like he was an exercise fitness freak too. Like there's a reason why Jerry Rice like lit up the league after that Strike Storm season in '87 because he ain't have to get ready. He was always ready. So you know who
else had who does the hill running stuff?
LaDainian Tomlinson, because he learned it from Jerry Rice.
They did
you ever hear a story about
Ball,
who?
The Ball brothers, like
I didn't know that.
LeVar Ball, like he's he trains like basketball players too. They got they call it Chino Hills for a reason. So
gotcha.
they having them run them hills out there too.
I knew Lamar was training a bunch of kids and obviously had his that made it. Yeah, like the funny story was like when LaDainian Tomlinson, Reggie Bush trained with LaDainian Tomlinson, like I want to say it was going into the Heisman year for Reggie Bush, right? LaDainian had Reggie out there fucking puking. that hill will kick your ass, man. And that hill kicked our asses.
It's rough, man. And we're talking like carrying boxes up and down this hill and like appliances and stuff in a dolly.
Thank God we had a dolly, bro.
Yeah,
we couldn't. Nah, man. With my neck and my back, ain't no way. Ain't no way.
So I just went out there on Sunday. I just went out there with some shorts and I was running up and down, and then you go up and down about 5 times, and then it's like, all right, man,
it's a workout. Like it's already on right then.
It's already on. Like yeah, it's pretty crazy, but. Yeah, we're here now, and this is where you guys. I'm still building up, got a little bit larger space here, building up everything. So I set up, the recording equipment. You can probably see it in the back over there. Got the on air sign for you guys. So let you guys know. But yeah, man, we got our washer and dryer installed today, so that was cool. I had to buy one of those. Felt like a real adult.
Yeah. When you see the price tags on appliances, that's when you're like, yeah, I'm here.
Yep. So, yeah.
You get the warranty? You get extended warranty?
Of course.
Yeah, I got to. Fuck around and find out. It'll be real rough. Real rough.
Yep. Yeah. But besides that, I know who it was real rough for. Man. Boston Celtics, bring y'all ass to the stage. I love nothing more than when the Boston Celtics lose. I love nothing more. Matter of fact, you guys thought I went at it for the Kings, right? I don't like the Kings. Kings, there ain't no, there's no real resentment, for the Kings. But it's just funny to laugh at the Kings. The Celtics have won one NBA championship in the last 37 years. And the one that they won is in 2008. It is the one black mark for me on this man's resume that he allowed the 08 Celtics to win. Besides that, this is a team and a fan base and a franchise. Let's not even start at the beginning of the season, how they got rid of Ime Udoka with all the stuff, and he had to go, by the way, and all the stuff they decided to put Nia Long through. These guys came out here, went to the finals last year, thought it was sweet, ran it back, and came out here and pretty much choked and lost to an 8th seed. I hate to do it, James, but I'm gonna act like Rick Pitino for a second. Larry Bird's not walking through that door. Bill Russell's not walking through that door. JoJo White's not walking through that door. Sam Jones not walking through that door. Casey Jones not walking through that door. Bill Walton's not walking through that door. Reggie Lewis not walking through that door. Len Bias definitely never walked through the door. Never walked in the door. Robert Parrish not walking through that door. Kevin Garnett not walking through that door. Kevin McHale not walking through that door. Paul Pierce not walking through that door. Ray Allen not walking through that door. Rajon Rondo not walking through that door. Kendrick Perkins not walking through that door. Antoine Walker not walking through that door.
Twan, oh my God.
Walter McCarty not walking through that door.
I literally saw Walter McCarty just now.
Tommy Hudson not walking through the door to give any Tommy points. What else we got?
Oh
Jesus
my
Christ.
God. Isaiah Thomas
not walking through that door. Isaiah Thomas not walking through that door. Why? Because his hip. That's why he's not walking through that door. Y'all let an 8 seed beat y'all on y'all home court after almost coming back from a 3-0. I'd rather be swept, and the Lakers were swept. I'm not speaking from a position of strength here. However, I'd rather know what we are rather than y'all come out here and get your hopes, or come out here and get caught off guard because y'all ain't supposed to be down 0-3. Then you tie it up like you're supposed to. And then it's like, oh, you smooth sailing. Y'all about to make NBA history. No, you are not. You are not the 2004 Boston Red Sox. Stop this. It was not happening. Bill Simmons, how about it? You look like you saw a dead body last night. Oh, you did. The Celtics, the Tatum Brown era, put it in smoke. James, apparently he was right all year. This man was scrambling and gambling all year, freaking out over anything. Apparently he was right, James.
Okay, so yes, he was right in the long run, but it was like there's 30 NBA teams, only one of them is going to win every single year. So like, if you play the percentages, you're going to be right if you freak out and think your team's not going to win every fucking time, all the time anyway, right? For me personally, this is. I know last year, I don't know if anybody ever got the impression that like I hate the Boston Celtics. I don't even have an NBA team. But there are teams that I tend to favor and I'm fond of based off the history of watching them so often. So I am fond of the Miami Heat. We got Heat friends, and I like to give my friends the business when they lose. So like I give, Heat fans the shit when they lose, I give Lakers fans shit when they lose. And that seems to be most of my closest fans are like all either Lakers, it's split down the line, like either Heat or Lakers. It's funny. But just a team that I've never been fond of outside of the KG era is the Celtics. I know the history.
Not walking through the Doc Rivers might be walking through the door.
Nah, they can't. Nah, man. Nah. I bet, like I said, was it 2 weeks ago? I bet never see Doc Rivers on the sideline of an NBA game ever again, unless he in a suit. No. He better be in casual gear, like he just there to check the festivities. Or if he's in a suit,
Taiwan.
He can be in a suit. He better have a headset on because he's calling the game. That's it.
Taiwan, James, with Dwight.
So, like last year, I don't know if people thought like I didn't, I said I didn't watch the finals at all last year. I didn't because like I honestly thought like the Celtics were going to win. It's not because I hate the Celtics. It's like I don't want stuff to go down like that. Like it was like I hated watching him at the end of 2019 when like Clay gets hurt, Durant gets hurt, and he's like playing 5-on-1 on offense, and it's like, bro, this is fucking frustrating. I hate watching people that are clearly the best player on the court and then like they can't win and then like we start looking at or either we excuse it or we'll come with whatever else. But like I'm just like, bro, this person's better than everybody. And you know how frustrating it is to like play a pickup game of basketball or play organized basketball. You're the best player on the team and like you look on the other side and like everybody else is more capable than your teammates. It's fucking infuriating. So like just to see that in a professional setting, to see like someone put in that kind of work to achieve that level of greatness that we've seen from Steph all the time, I was like, he's going to go in there and they're going to lose. And I didn't want to see that at all. Thank you, Jordan Poole, for giving us whatever that was. And if you never have anything else, that's your contribution because I did not want to see Steph Curry lose to them young ass niggas. So anyway, getting to, and I don't even like dislike Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown. I've always thought Jaylen Brown was somebody that like isn't a max level player, and there's gonna be we'll see what the Celtics do come this summer because he's up for an extension, Rich, where he can make 5 years,
the most money in league history.
Yeah, 5 years, $295 million. Now, obviously, it's a percentage of the cap because the cap's going up, but it's like he's 26, 27, and he can't dribble left. And he can't, and he's not a creator. Like, I'll pull this up because I was for it when I heard this today. Zach Lowe,
you gotta trade him. You gotta trade him.
If you get a good trade, sure. Otherwise, you just gotta hold him. But Zach Lowe had this stat: this year's playoffs, Jaylen Brown, 68 assists, 66 turnovers.
Brother.
Jaylen Brown's career in the playoffs, 241 assists, 232 turnovers. He's not like when people will talk about like Kawhi, for example, say like he doesn't, facilitate or whatever else. It's like,
yeah, maybe
he can, and the thing is like he doesn't because like what comes with it is like wild turnovers. And like he's just like, I'm just gonna just, I get the ball, it goes up, the end. And that's a part of like playing smart basketball. If you're gonna turn the ball over wildly, then you need to get off the ball. And like that's been the thing with this Celtics team this whole time is like they have Jason Tatum who can create, but he's at the same time he's also a guy that will jack up bad shots and have a bad diet of shots throughout the game and will be streaky. And then, like, and Marcus Smart is somebody that, like, you want him on the court as your point guard on defense. On offense, he's not good enough. And then you have Jaylen Brown, who you always felt like if he's pushing early in transition in the open court, yes, he can make stuff happen. In the half court against defenses, he doesn't threaten you in that way. And, like, you look at this team, it's like, Horford's one of the oldest guys in the league. They didn't play Grant Williams, even though Grant Williams contributed greatly to them making the finals last year. I don't know if he's in a doghouse. I know that Mazzulla likes to, like, if things go down. MA last season was like, I'm going down, putting my best defense on the floor. So that's why I always had Grant Williams on there. This year, Mazzulla was like, if we going down, we're putting shooters on the floor. Which, there is validity to either one, but it's case by case scenario. But like Grant Williams basically played himself out of the series and seemed like he was in the doghouse throughout the playoffs. It was just weird, like, seeing like, all right, what are we doing? Marcus Smart getting the last shot in Game 6 with their season on the line, and like that was another thing with them is like
there was times in Game 7.
Go ahead.
There were times in Game 7 where it looked like they were counting on Derek White with Brown and Tatum on the floor.
Derek White was their best player last night.
Horrible.
Derek White was out here putting in shots to get the game when it was like, 15 points, getting it to 7. They kept getting to 7 and they never like got it closer than 7 or maybe even got it to 6. They never got it to 5. They never closed in that way. And it was just frustrating. Like, obviously Tatum, he had the bad ankle, first play of the game, whatever else, but it's like, that's the shit you get for fucking around with a team that you're more talented than. You can't fuck around and blow two home games. Rich, they lost 3 home games in this series.
That is unforgivable.
Rich,
they missed all those threes.
Yes. We'll get to that. Rich, let's get to it now. They started like 0 for 10, 0 for 11 from 3. I think they finished like 9 for 40 something. They finished 9 for something. They shot like 21% for 3 the whole game. And whatever is like, you know, this year they shot a bunch of threes, or a lot more threes, and they were going in, but like, you know, when you have Jason Tatum and he likes to take bad shots at times, you have Jaylen Brown and you can't trust him to not turn the ball over at times or dribble left without losing the ball out of his hand as an unforced error. Stuff like this happens. And then you end up with like game 6 where like, all right, season's on the line. Who gets the ball and has to put the shot? Marcus Smart. Fucking why? Why when this team plays in these playoff games or close games, the ball seems to find Marcus Smart like he has a fucking magnet in his hands? Like why? Like even last season, right when they won game 1 against the Nets, right? Marcus Smart has the ball. He wants to jack up that shot, but he's like, no. And then he rolls to the basket, and luckily Jason Tatum runs through the middle, and he dumps it off to him, and he lays it in. But it's like, the ball should not be in that dude's hands. Like, I was listening to J.R. Smith talk about Iverson and Carmelo, and talked about when, like, Iverson used to be so fucking annoyed when someone other than Melo or himself had the ball in Denver. He was like, bruh, like, you are not supposed to have the ball. Like, shoot, yeah, shoot. But, like, you are not here for having the ball, handling all that kind of stuff. It is for me or Melo, nobody else. And, like, Marcus Smart is somebody.
I saw that too, yeah.
Marcus Smart is someone where it's like, we've seen so many up and down performances with him. Obviously, I'm not even going to get into, like, the defense with the flopping stuff or how good of a defender he still is at this point. But we've seen that dude make these plays where you're like, no, or no, yes. And on the margins, that's not good enough. It's not. So you need to get the ball out of his hands into someone else. And I don't know, Tatum was hurt in game 7. I can chalk it up as like, look, he had a bad finals last year. I wanted to see him redeem himself at some point. He had a bad game 7.
He'll get back.
It is what it is. Jaylen Brown shooting like 8 for 23, 8 turnovers.
Look, if you ain't got the shot going, you got to do something else. You got to get on the boards.
Right.
You gotta make a play.
Right.
You got to play some defense. You got to do something. You
Right.
can't just be stanging that shit up and then be like, oh well, just going to run back and forth like it's soccer.
Right. And,
you know,
like, I think situationally, they're just a dumb basketball team. And Rich, I've been saying this, for how long now? A month now?
Yeah.
Like it shouldn't take, like, they shouldn't get up 2-0 on the Hawks and then it turns into a 6-game series. Get the fuck out of here. You're better than them. Like, Embiid out game 1, you lose because Harden gets 50. And you fuck up every defensive assignment possible. Game 4, Embiid explodes and Harden hits a 3 in the corner, and they're down 3-2. But that just shows you like what Doc Rivers made of that. They blew a 3-2 lead to them niggas, right?
What if they were not playing the Sixers in round 2?
They would have got bounced.
Look, 2 consecutive seasons with celebrations on that court. Loved it. Loved seeing the season end with all the traditional Celtics in the game. Love seeing what's his name, Cornette, Peyton Pritchard, Paxton, something like all the Celtics from the good old days, from the 80s.
The good old days. Traditional Celtics.
Traditional Celtics. They won all them titles when there was 8 teams in the league.
I just
Dave Cowens not walking through that door.
Did you say John Havlicek? I don't think you said him.
I don't think I did. John Havlicek definitely not walking through that door.
Yeah, Dennis Johnson walked through that door. Now we just return a bit. Anyway, yeah, man, I just I'm really concerned about like what this team can do in the future. Like, going back to when they drafted Tatum, it was like, they're clearly playing this game where like they're waiting for LeBron to run to expire. And like it looked like, I remember joking saying like it looks like 24, 25 will be like around their time. Well, it's 23, and like they made the finals last year, and I don't feel exactly. I think this team could run it back. I think this team could make the finals next year. Do I think I would take them over the Nuggets this year or next year? No. Like they're just so inconsistent, and like a lot of that comes down to like they don't have a point guard. They need a point guard. Like they I understand you can still wait this out and wait till Tatum gets to 27 and Brown's 28, and they're actually at the peak of their powers as players, but it's like you're so close right fucking now.
So you gotta make a move. There gotta be some assets you got stored up somewhere, something like you gotta get Marcus Smart out of there. Like and
it's like, yeah, maybe 27 or maybe when they're 27, 28, like Horford's not going to be able to last that long. Horford might retire right now. There was talk that Horford might have retired if they had won the finals. So it's like, all right,
we ain't got to worry about that,
right? And but on the other side, it's like, you know, we were talking about, you mentioned like the situational basketball, and like, you know, you get discouraged, you're not making shots, you got to fill in the other ends. Like, look, man, if the Miami Heat had lost this game or whatever else, if the Heat had managed to come back or whatever else, you can look. I can tell you right now, I ain't gotta look at the box score. I can tell you right now why they lost this game. Bam Adebayo couldn't make a basket except at the free throw line whenever he got fouled. He couldn't make a basket. He couldn't. But at the same time, he was out there sending them hard ass screens, getting open shots for Max Strus and Caleb Martin, and even Gabe Vince at the times. And
we should probably start talking about the Miami Heat because they are pulling niggas. They are pulling niggas off the bench. They are pulling niggas off through immigration. They are riding around the city. Who wants to suit up with the Miami Heat tonight? And that's literally what's happening. They pulling out niggas I've never seen, James.
So they just go into Miami Gardens and Opelika and Hialeah and just over town and being like, hey, Liberty City, hey man, suit up. I will say this, you know, there's something so familiar about seeing black and red jerseys with Miami on the front, stomping out the hopes and dreams of the Boston Garden. It's so familiar. Like I almost like got like a nightline picture of TD Garden and like put in like a picture of LeBron smiling in one of the corners. I almost did that, but but there's definitely some too, like Miami saying we are not losing to Boston. Like we lost to them in 2009, either 9 or 10, and we will never lose them ever again, and they have not. It doesn't matter. That has been traditional. Pat Riley has said we are never losing these niggas again after they snuck out that game
last
7.
Year. They lost to him last year.
That's right, but it was off that miss from Butler at game 7.
Yeah, the Celtics ain't exactly want to win last year.
Right. Yeah. But it's man. It's Miami's very impressive, and I remember Chad Matthews, the doc, when he was kind of like, you know, trying to figure out what team he should, you know, because he was tired of Orlando because they were fucking off. He was like, I'm interested in getting another team, and I remember at the time he was like, who should we pick? And my first pick was like Miami because they're always going to try hard. They're always going to try hard. It doesn't matter who's on the roster, who's not. Like they're never going to tank. They're never going to try to do the process or tank out to get Wembanyama. They're going to develop their players. They're going to draft smartly, sign players smartly, develop them, and then have them fit a role on their team. And then like next thing you know, there's like they have 8 guys that are all, you know, of quality, but like none of them necessarily stick out except for Butler of late. And that's what they've been for like the last 5 years, 6 years.
Bro, I don't know what's happening here, man. Like this is 8 seed. They took down the Bucks with Giannis. You know,
yes.
he was a little hobbled or whatever, but they took him down in 5.
Rich, they took out the 1 seed, the 5 seed, and the 2 seed to get here.
This is like the most like impressive like run.
Like, and they did it all without Tyler Hero.
Yeah, I still think they're going to get swept by the fucking Nuggets.
Same.
Like, whatever Bam Adebayo got to do to guard Jokic, man. I saw a tweet today. It was like, man, what Jokic is about to do to Bam is going to set back race relations like 100 years.
It's going to be nasty. He's just too small. He's just too small.
Telling people now, get ready because the Joker, like this shit is going to get ugly. Like in Jamal Murray, like he's probably got some people that can probably get in his face a little bit here, but. That brother in the Western Conference Finals was averaging 32 a game, so I don't think he's about to slow down. So, good luck, Miami. But the altitude ain't no joke.
Yeah, in either way, it's still a huge achievement. Like, Rich, they've made what, three of the last 4 Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah,
super impressive. Like. This is not a team you look at that roster up and down or 1 through 9 and be like, yeah, that's a team that can win. Especially in this Eastern Conference where we have 3 really good teams. That's not a team that's supposed to win this conference. And they did it. And I don't feel like it's some fluke. Like they obviously, the Giannis thing happened in game 1 and then throughout the series, but it's like they didn't beat one team that was really good. They beat 2 fucking good teams.
Breaking news, King of the North. Baron Corbin is apparently the next challenger for Carmelo Hayes for the NXT Championship. For who? For what? Can't say. I don't watch that promotion.
I don't know why you would bring him to NXT, seeing that people never wanted him out of NXT when he left. This isn't like Finn Balor coming back or Nakamura or Joe or whatever else, whereas this person has this rep and was there and the fans remember him as when he was there, they wanted him out of there and now he's back and they're probably he's going to have go away heat there too. Whatever, man. Cash a check. At least he's still employed from his perspective.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, really, really impressed from the Heat as an organization to still just pound away, and still just find gems.
Grinders.
Still actually, the Heat culture shit we all clowned on, especially in 2020 when the Heat smoked, or when the Lakers smoked them. But it's that shit is actually real. Draft dudes, and from the top down, from the owner to Riley to everybody in the back to Spoelstra, it's, hey, you come to Miami, we're going to practice hard. We're going to work out hard. You will be in the best shape of your career. There's nobody out of fucking shape in Miami. And we're going to play hard. And it happens all the time. It happens all the time. And, I think more than ever, the difference between regular season basketball and playoff basketball is showing it there. And it's that team was trying like hell to get that 6 seed to get out the play-in. They got in the play-in, was stuck, fucking lost, ended up being the 8th seed, and then next thing you know, 2 months later, they're in the finals again.
What if DeMar DeRozan's daughter was able to come to the game?
You remember what I said when they had that last game to see who was going to be the 8th seed? I remember I was in the group. I was like, "Hey man, all you Heat fans in here, I'm pulling for y'all because I'm not trying to see DeMar DeRozan in the playoffs. I want to see Jimmy." And it happened, and here we are, another finals trip. So, congratulations to them, and obviously moral victories, minor league coaches, all that shit with Jay-Z, but I feel like it's a big accomplishment for them to make it this far because they knocked out Giannis and they knocked out Tatum and Brown to do it, and I don't give them a chance. I don't give them much of a chance in the finals, but to win this East, when the East is the at the top was the better conference this year, I just find it impressive because all season, the shooting wasn't there. The year before, all the shooting was, and then the playoffs came around, and all of a sudden, these guys are shooting like it was last season.
Just literally pulling dudes out from the YMCA.
Caleb Martin,
saying, hey.
Bro, Hayward Highsmith. When they went so small, they didn't play Zeller, they didn't play Kevin Love.
Bro, when I saw some nigga run up and down the court named Highsmith, yes. I was like, who? I was like, right. Is this guy even in 2K?
Right.
What's going on here?
And my only explanation was, I guess that's Alonzo Highsmith's son that Alonzo Highsmith used to play at University of Miami. That's the only Highsmith I've ever heard of. So That's all I got
Call
for
me
you.
casual, whatever.
Look, casual all you want to. If you're in a rotation on the NBA team in the playoffs, like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But yeah, man, I think Jokic is on the door of something special, man. So let's just say he just does what he's been doing this playoffs, right? Wins Finals MVP. What ballpark range do you have him historically? In my mind, I already have an idea.
I mean, 3 or 2 MVPs really should be probably 3. I don't know if he'll ever get a chance to win another one. Mm-hmm. He'll have the West MVP. He'll have the Finals MVP. He'll have the title. I think he gets into the 30 easily, I want to say. And, he's going to... I don't know if I'm necessarily interested where he's at right now, but I got a feeling where I think he could end up, and it could be some real type of soul searching for people, like when everybody's had their center list locked in kind of for decades at this point, and let's just say some furniture might be moving like up there. If this guy over the next 3 to 5 years does what we think he can do, now that his team's not just falling down in injury around him. He's not athletic, so he doesn't have to worry about that kind of decline there.
And he's 28.
This is
he's in his prime right now.
He has a chance to make it his league for the next 3 years at least. And say he puts a couple together.
I ain't even talking about if he puts a couple together. I'm talking about if he just gets over this hump.
If he gets over this one, you gotta start moving folks around, top 20. You gotta start moving them around.
This is what I'll say, because there were signs it was going to happen around 2019. The bubbles when I was like, oh, this is real. When he was breaking Montrezl Harrell so bad that they were like, hey man, we got to put Kawhi on it. And that was even fucking with the defense because he was just torching him with passes. I was like, this dude's special. And then, even they lost in 5 to the Lakers. He was great in that series. They just lost. And then, you had the injuries you mentioned. This man is in the middle of a 4-year run where, he was awesome in the bubble. Awesome. I think it's something 27, 10, and 7 over his career in the playoffs. That's 49 games. That ain't no fucking fluke. 27 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists. That dude's an all-time performer. I know people say, "Oh, you got bounced by the Warriors in round 1." His fucking team was just all injured. What the fuck?
And it's the Warriors. What the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah. But winning 2 MVPs and then finishing second this year. You look at it as a 4-year campaign, that is...
This is all that's left.
That is top 20 level shit. Now, I don't think I'll put him in the top 20 right now, but, he wins this Finals MVP and he continues his run he's had where he's averaging, a 30-point, 13 rebound, 10 assist, triple-double in the playoffs. If he just continues, finishes that out, gets his Finals MVP, there's no way he's not a top 25 all-time player right now. If we are to evaluate NBA players by what their peak is, you count these last 4 seasons or these last 4 postseasons, his peak is on some Mount or Pantheon shit. There's ain't been 15 guys that have been as good as he's been over the last 4 years or last 4 postseasons. Then you throw into the part of after that. I don't think it's out of the, I don't think it's crazy to think that this dude can be hey, this is a top, him and Giannis both. They both crack into the top 16 ever. I don't think that's crazy. Top 15 ever. I don't think that's crazy at all. All they gotta do is stay healthy, keep doing them, keep racking up, top 3 MVP finishes, get another title here or there. They're there. So yeah, I know people don't want to talk, are still on the Durant, Steph, LeBron thing. Hey man, like I get it. I love them too, but like we're now in a new era. And if Embiid ever figures it out, then it'll be 3 of them. But those 2, Giannis and Jokic in particular, those are the guys. And I understand they're, small markets. One's or both of them are in central time zones, and they're both foreigners. Whatever, man. They're awesome.
You're used to it.
Yeah.
Get used to it.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right, man. We got lots of viewers in here, and I'm sure some of them like basketball, but I know all of them like wrestling. So let's get to it, man. AEW Double or Nothing 2023, Double or Nothing 5.
Wow.
Yeah. How crazy is that to think about? Like I was thinking about the other day. I was like, damn, I remember watching that shit in Jeremy Josh's old apartment. This show, however, was not like that first one.
Not even close.
This was this show oddly felt similar to last year for me, where it was like, except without the glut of millions of matches like last year. It just felt like a very low energy building, and they just didn't. I think it was an off night for a lot of these guys, and looking up and down this card, like there's a lot I think you can look at if you look one layer deeper. I'm gonna ask a question about some that could be going on. I don't know, but like you look at these finishes. Oddly, it reminded me of Revolution 2021, where they had all those gimmick matches. And it was just like, why is it so many gimmick matches? There's not enough one-on-one wrestling. And I remember mentioning that at that time before the show. I was like, if this show stinks, this is going to be what happens. Yeah. And that show was not good.
I remember that. I remember that because I remember you brought it up in comparison to like that Budokan Hall Stardom show. We were like, regardless of whatever happens, like Stardom is definitely going to have the better singles matches. I remember that. Yeah. It's not just the fact that we're like the singles match. It's also like the glut of run-ins and wonky finishes and like no one getting hit with a fucking move and put away. It was a lot of that.
Like I didn't think this was the worst AEW pay-per-view ever. I think people should really re-examine All Out 2020 with a fine comb. I was there in person. I can tell you that was it. But this one was not in the upper half or anything. I know what a great AEW pay-per-view feels like after like the show's over. I feel like I kind of want to run through a wall sometimes. I just wanted to go to sleep. I didn't even finish listening to all the post-show stuff. I was like, man, I'm tired. And through no fault of the last 2 matches, they came to ball. They balled out, but everything before them, aside from the Battle Royal, it was just like, all right, man, what's going on here? Like, and I
might give an exception to the Wardlow Christian Cage match, but I will say, like, the amount of because of so many people thrown into matches, like the Battle Royal having so many things that like stuff that I would even this might be just a personal thing, but stuff that like I was interested in. Or curious about, like Keith Lee and Swerve, Ricky Starks and Jay White, like that stuff just all being thrown into the Battle Royal. Like that kind of lessened my enthusiasm. It was like, well, it feels like there's more meat on the bone as far as like we can get out of a match with that stuff than some of the stuff that was on the card. And it was weird. It just felt like some of the matches would happen, the run-ins would happen, and I was just looking at my phone and just kind of like checked out on some of the stuff, especially like between the Battle Royal and until the last 2 matches. I was really checked out on this show in a way that like I've never been with an AEW pay-per-view. I can't really put my finger on why that was. Maybe it's because I've missed so many of the shows, but like I still followed along and knew what was all happening. But like it just ultimately the bells were ringing. It was kind of like this doesn't feel like the prior iterations of Double or Nothing.
Right. And, if I were to, I'm going to list all these things and, my theory is, it feels like people don't want to lose matches clean. And that's what a lot of these gimmicks are designed to do, is to give people outs, excuses. If it's not a one-on-one match, they got to end it some other kind of foolish way. So, first match, we got a battle royal. No one gets pinned in any of those. You go over the top rope, whatever. All those guys. And I think if you break up a lot of those guys that are in the battle royal and actually give those guys matches and swap out some of the other stuff, I think everybody that would have had the great matches were all in that one battle royal, which is why that battle royal, went so well.
Yeah.
Jericho, he's TKO'd, not pinned. Jarrett, he takes a pin. He's 55 years old. This is only his second pin, and it's after special referees shenanigans gone afoot. A ladder match next. Christian.
He got hit by the ref and then took the finish.
Yeah. So the ladder match, Christian didn't get pinned in a ladder match, and also he's 49 years old or whatever. Jamie Hayter does a fake job with an injury match. It's essentially the Jon Moxley CM Punk thing,
right? Where more
like
people,
you clearly can't have a fake, or you clearly can't have a real match, but they do. Whatever.
But they go 3 minutes and she bumps into steel steps over and over and over. And then at the end, after going to steel steps over and over and over, like gets maced in the face with green spray paint. And also, like, everybody was talking about how she was injured going into it, like, legitimately, and like, how are they going to do it? So like, everyone's already has things of like, oh, this is a fake job. Yeah.
Yep.
And the belt gets transferred to another person in that same group, in that same clique. Interesting how that works. We'll see how long that goes.
So Jade beats Taya clean, which admittedly I think kind of got a positive reaction on the show, and I think a lot of people like that match. And I like the entrances, and that seemed to wake the crowd up, and they reacted to it because it was a one-on-one match. And then Jade kind of runs her deal where she challenges someone immediately, and she's been doing this for like a month or two. But it essentially turns into WrestleMania 9 as Chris Statlander returns and then beats Jade. And then, what can you say? Great moment for her, but she just faced a woman that just had a match. So you could say that.
Never mind that. Just drop the confetti.
Yeah.
Just drop the confetti.
Is that really a strong victory? I would argue not really.
Well, when you drop the confetti, then the answer should be yes, but like apparently not. Like, drop the confetti, never mind that shit.
Trios match. They make this a trios match, and they put Billy Gunn, who's an agent in the promotion, in at 59 years old to lose the match because no one else can be pinned. And should Billy Gunn be taking the pin? Yes, but you wonder why he has to take the pin. Why can no one else do a job here?
No.
And I keep mentioning the ages because all these old guys losing are just the pin eaters for all this stuff, like it's like some way that they lost but didn't really get beat. Still.
Yeah. Yeah, and they get heat in the, House of Black gets the heat on Bowens forever. Forever.
That match was so slow, and it was like, there's a house show match. Do they know, like, where we're at right now? Like,
it wasn't nearly dynamic enough. Like, I don't even remember Caster being in. He clearly had to have been at some point. I just don't even remember it, though.
Four Pillars match. I got nothing really to complain about there.
Great match.
But still, they did like a kind of dirty finish or whatever there.
Well, it's MJF, so whatever. Perfect.
Yeah, but it's MJF. Main event. I don't really have any complaints about that. That's like a charted out finish for a angle that's like clearly planned in advance and headed elsewhere.
Right. Like, that's what they do when the Hills win one of these multi-man big matches like this. That's what they do in AEW.
So
it's building towards one guts or whatever.
If I were to tell you all that, I feel like it's fair to assume that either people do not want to lose matches clean in this promotion. Tony Khan does not want to make it a point of his to insist people do these jobs clean. And it's just like rocking the boat, or doesn't want to rock the boat, wants to keep everyone happy, wants to keep everyone pushed all at a relative level. But we know what that is. Thing. Like, it like you gotta put people up, you gotta put people down, and bring them back around. At the time, at the time that it comes, this entire booking, like with that, if you add all that stuff, like and then add in those gimmick matches that are all happening all on the same show, like the unsanctioned match, like
going on
my
second.
concern,
going on second.
Going on second. My concern with that, I was like, man, isn't this gonna kind of like, like there's already anarchy in the arena. Why do we need like the ladder match? Why do we need the unsanctioned match? We already have a 4-way. Like, why couldn't they have just done like the 4 pillars as a ladder match? You could have done that, and then Wardlow and Christian like as just a 1-on-1 match. Oh, because someone might have to pin Christian. Like, like I don't know, man. Like, there's just like I don't know why you would book a pay-per-view.
You know what? I never
with
thought
this
about
many gimmick matches, and then like all these people. Like, this is not like it didn't used to be like this,
right?
Like it was not like this,
Rich. And I never thought about it before, but like I'll say like, nah, Christian ain't. I don't think Christian's about when put his shoulders on the mat. It was like, oh, he put over Jungle Boy in a fucking casket match. Never mind. Sorry.
Look, I'm not saying someone doesn't want to do jobs or anything, right? But what I am
people
saying
in particular, but it's like, look, maybe
like,
not
but
anybody.
what I'm saying
I don't
is,
want to
like,
point out
the way
anybody in
people
particular, but
Right.
there's definitely something going on to where it's like, why is this whole entire card people not getting fucking pinned cleanly?
Right. Like, and then the only people that the people that are designated to lose, like, they're old as hell and they're still giving them fluky outs or whatever. So like a lot of that stuff, like I thought about it immediately after the show was over. I wrote that whole thing up and I was like, something's not right. Something's broken. He needs to institute the giant Baba clean finish policy, because I think if you keep going forward with this like this, that's the stuff that people didn't like about WWE. Like, that's the stuff where it's like, yeah, man, you just start looking to the back. Who's running in? Like, and
Right.
it's just like, when this company first started, it was just like all this hard wrestling, all these people competing, and then people winning, people losing, or whatever. But it's a whole bunch of like stuff where this person can't lose, this person doesn't want to lose. There's heat here, like, and then there's just too many like ways that he has to book to try to get out of something, rather than making it more appealing for the fans. And I imagine it's a tough job for TK, because think about the dynamics that are at play. I think it is tough to balance like people that come from other companies, people that have been in your company the whole time, deciding who's going to lose to who out of those, mixing them up, either having them only wrestle each other, different stuff like that. But it's like, yo, man, like, this is what you signed up for. Let's see it.
Right. And also another part of it is like, maybe if this was a thing where like they were running 8 pay-per-views a year, they're running fucking 5 at most, and one of them is an all-star show mixed up with another promotion. Like, get that shit off the card. If I need to know right now today, I want to do this with you and them, and we're going to get to this particular show, and we need you to lose. You don't want to, you want to change the finish? Okay, we'll move on. Sorry. Like, enough of this shit. Like, it's one thing when it's like a couple or even half the show. The whole show's filled with that shit. And it's unsatisfying. And all this, and none of this stuff, like, I feel like most of the stuff isn't going to lead to a match later down the line with some of these people. Like, do you think Jared and Jeff and Mark Briscoe or FTR are going to have something going forward? I don't think so.
I think that's done.
Right. The Jamie and Tony stuff could be like, if she's gonna wrestle for 3 fucking minutes and with an injury like that, it don't mean I assume she's not that far out to where she can't come back, right? Like, that could very well be put it back on Tony so that Jamie can win it in Wembley. I could see that.
Yeah,
right.
That's my prediction.
Right, like, and blood and, like, Anarchy in the Arena, that's clearly leading to blood and guts. That just makes sense, right? And then like who else is gonna also come in and help or whatever else, even Oz. But Cole and Jericho,
they're doing a mixed tag on Wednesday that I don't think.
Right.
That's not the we're not the demographic for this.
Godspeed, Chris, because that.
Like, Jericho's out here saying, "Jump on my back, boys!" Like, with Saraya and Cole, jump on my back, and I'll carry you.
Because look, right? Like, I have no concerns about Britt Baker in the tag team situation. None. She's proved it. She's been through the fire in tags. We'll figure out the singles eventually, but the tags, I ain't got no concern in the world for and none at all for Britt in tags. She'll be fine. Saraya, was this her second match? Third match?
She's had like less than 5.
Okay, yeah, they keep her out the ring, and I don't think it's because of they trying to keep that as a special attraction. I think she's cooked, and they are trying to just make the best use of it as they can, and that's why they put it into Ruby and they put it into Tony and made them get wins. Like, they're basically like, look, all the stuff we were gonna try to do with you, nah, you can't handle it, you can't cut it in the ring, so we're gonna put it on them. So at least that's a positive in the women's division. But yeah, man, up and down the card, as you mentioned, just a lot of strange stuff. Like, I get that the House of Black house rules thing or whatever else, and you get the Acclaimed out there or whatever else. But, like, you got the Acclaimed out there, 1, they lose, and 2, they got their asses kicked the whole match. Like, they got maybe 20% of the match. Maybe.
And the whole thing was setting up the hot tag for Billy Gunn. It's like, what are we doing? Like,
what's he do? No sell some shit, hits his finish a couple times, and then immediately runs into I almost called Alistair. Malachi's finish and gets pinned. Like, it was like a Royal Rumble run in. Or like Elimination Chamber, we're like, oh, that person's about to get eliminated because they're going nuts right now. They finna get pinned and sent out to the structure.
Yeah, this was not like I said, love the last 2 matches and like the Battle Royal a lot, but man, this was like, it just seemed like, all right, you tied up a lot of people in 3 matches, and then the rest of the card was like, where it's at right now. Yep. So we should go through it. AEW International 21-man Blackjack Battle Royal. Orange Cassidy defeats in alphabetical order Ari Daivari, Bandito, Big Bill, Brian Cage, Chuck Taylor, Dustin Rhodes, Jay White, Juice Robinson, Keith Lee, Kip Sabian, Commander, Lee Moriarty, Penta El Zero Miedo, Ray Phoenix, Ricky Starks, Swerve Strickland, The Blade, The Butcher, Tony Nese, and Trent Beretta. A lot of good wrestlers in that match.
Yeah. I thought it was fine. I also thought it was weird they did do the normal format of, like, they put in, like, 4 people at a time or 5 people at a time, and then have a whoever the
yeah, this one I guess is a little different because that's the Casino Battle Royal.
Oh, my bad. That's just a me thing. So I thought that Casino Battle Royal and Blackjack Battle Royal, same thing. I'm wrong. Sorry, my bad. But yeah. So I thought it was fine. Had some fun spots. Probably like 4 minutes of the show, Bandito puts Tony Nese up and does his delay suplex while very much like the plot of half the superhero movies is like, while one person has to focus energy or effort into one thing, other people got to fend off people from all comers from all sides. You had Penta and Commander and Phoenix fight off everybody and keep them at bay along the ropes while Bandito holds up Tony Nese. And then Jim Ross said some shit along the lines of, all Mexicans are related. All Mexican wrestlers are related. And I was like, wait, what?
Explain this, Jim.
First off, anytime I hear him on commentary on AEW pay-per-view or event, I'm just like, why is he on commentary? Right? Because Taz is flat out better than him. Shivani's flat out better than him. Obviously, Excalibur's flat out better than him at this point. Right? Jim Ross should be used for, like, supplemental stuff, like the video package, sit down interviews, find out to get deeper into the character, the method of the madness, all that kind of stuff.
The 12-minute interview he did with Don Callis over the weekend, phenomenal.
That's a strong suit. Not a strong suit, but like, he's always been great at that. And even though now he's at a point where he's not as good on the call, and also he wants to editorialize, and his editorialization, I don't know that's a word. His editorialization is to be negative on the young guys and say that he doesn't understand why these fucking young kids do all this dumb crap. Take him out, have him focus on trying to get deeper into like what's going on behind Jungle Boy Jack Perry, right? What's going on with Wardlow? What's going on with Eddie Kingston or Santana and stuff he's done with all these guys at times, and it's all been good work. That's what he's best should be used for. Maybe the price tag's too high. He say you got to justify. Maybe he's been saying, well, I want to do the pay-per-views. All right, do the first 2 hours and get the fuck out of here. But yeah, man, like hear him on commentary. I'm just like, oh God, he's about to say something stupid. And inevitably, it only took him 5 minutes to say something stupid. So moving on from the rest of that, like you saw Keith Lee in there with Swerve. That was really good. You saw Commander do his thing, and then Commander, because he got that go-to, you can't keep him from getting on these ropes. All right, Jay White shoved that man. I liked it. Yeah. But there was other stuff. It was really fun. And then get down to the final 5 or 4. That was really good. And then you get to the finishing.
The Big Bill push. I like the Big Bill push a little bit.
The Big Bill push.
Real Psycho City and energy for Big Bill.
Oh my God. What else? Anything else before we get to the final 4 that it stuck out to you?
I think not.
Camera direction missed a couple of eliminations. They replayed it, luckily though.
Yeah, I think not. Butcher was out pretty early, so I was sad for Big Butch. Brian Cage looked pretty good. And yeah, I guess, but besides that, the final 4 and then the final 2 with Swerve and Orange Cassidy, I thought they had me. I thought they were going to switch the title there. And so it was it was a nice little mini match right there.
I mean, that's the benefit of the story, right? Like we've talked about builds and everything, but like getting to this point where it's like, all right, man, they have ran him down to the bone. He's keeps having really fun matches, and like they keep showing him like he is just the burden is and the price and the toll is like really like just stacking up on him, and like he has a match with oh my God, from Aussie Open, Kyle Fletcher. Yeah. And
of the newly signed Aussie Open.
Yeah. We ended up missing that. Well, you want to talk about it now, or you want to move on, or do you want to wait after?
We'll make a detour to talk about Aussie Open. So,
they had that fun match, and then he says like everybody, any open challenges, go to Tony's office and then do the thing where like Tony's like, all right, well, a bunch of people showed up, let's do a battle royal. All right, whatever. And it's like they're clearly telling the story that this dude is like eventually he's going to lose because he's wearing down. And how much longer can he keep this up? And it looked like this was a perfect spot for him to end. And I was like, hey man, you see who's in here? Like, there's a Ricky Starks here, there's a Jay White here, there's a Swerve here. There's a lot of interesting people that like could do something,
Because Swerve is like standing outside the ring like for minutes after the match starts, and I'm like, what's going on here? Like, and
so was Commander. That's how they were able to get Commander to be able to do one spot the one time before he got without being eliminated, and then he did the second time, and then like, all right.
I was like, oh, because originally I was like, why would you put Commander in the Battle Royal? He can't do his thing, and I was like, oh, they decided to leave him outside the ring first, and then how he got in the ring was doing the rope walk.
Yep.
Oh.
Yep. Do your move.
I'll shut up.
So yeah, man, like Swerve and Orange Cassidy were awesome together, and the finish was also like hilarious. Where like Orange Cassidy about to give the big punch, and the Sadie walks up and just kicks him, and like Swerve's sell of the reach. Yes, that was fantastic. That was fantastic. Yeah, really good. Great, actually great. The final 2 of them was great. So like, yeah, super fun opener. And I don't really even fuck with battle royals like that, but yeah, I thought that was I thought we were off to a good start, and then the momentum stopped.
And then we got the unsanctioned match between Adam Cole and Chris Jericho, and brother, I don't know what this was.
Well, they said that it was going to be some type of unsanctioned match, or they said it's an unsanctioned match. They said that they were bringing out Sabu to be the enforcer. And then, like, the match starts, and as the match starts, it's basically a 3v3 or 5. Was it 4 or 5 on JAS at the time?
It was 4.
So it's 4 versus 3 of Roddy.
Well, 4 not including Jericho.
Okay.
It was like everybody on the outside fighting.
So it's 5 versus 3. It's 5 versus 3.
Yeah.
So it's JAS minus Sammy versus Sabu, Adam Cole, and Roger Strong. I'm like, okay, well, this turns into basically like, is this going to be Anarchy Arena? Why this isn't wise to do. Luckily, the riffraff all leaves, heads out, and then gets to Cole and Jericho, and I thought it was long and it wasn't good for a long time.
It was long, slow, and it was like it felt like one of them Adam Cole death matches where it was just like, all right.
Except the ones that like people like the last match with Gargano and the first and the two O'Reilly ones, those were both way better than this one. Those matches were like, yeah, I didn't love it, but I see y'all putting in this one. I was like, yo, I can't believe these two level of guys had this bad of a match that went this long, or not bad, but like this not good of a match for this long.
I don't know, like what went wrong here. I thought it was stunning to see like the amount of people that didn't care about Cole getting to Jericho. Like it was silent in that building.
Yeah.
And it was like, I had a lot of people saying maybe Adam Cole is washed. Because this was a Jericho thing, like where I think Jericho did a fine job, but it was like, I don't really know, like, how much Adam Cole hasn't been a babyface a lot. So I don't know if it's that. I don't know if it's from the injury, and he's still like, I think if you're somebody that it was like, yo, we gearing up Adam Cole to be a big babyface, they get a world title push. I think this was a horrible night for the for that agenda.
Yeah.
And it was like, for who? For what? Like, and then like, he's been off a long time. He, I hesitate to throw dirt on the guy.
Because his match with Garcia coming back was very good.
I hesitate and Adam Cole is such a lightning rod, I think, for people who either they think he's way better than, other people think he is. And then just on the other side, it's like people that just can't stop talking about him for whatever reason, whether it's Britt Baker, whether it's his look or physique, even though he's like the same size as like all the other wrestlers. I don't quite understand the whole, like we've talked about Adam Cole before and like, him jumping from NXT to AEW, like all the other stuff that's around him. And it's like, I just feel like I need to see more from him. But unfortunately, like they've been so cautious with him, and probably fortunate for him, they haven't really shown like, I was listening to Voice of Wrestling's review, and it was like, what's his best match in AEW?
Ooh, his best match in AEW.
It's got to be one of the Hangman matches, right?
Yeah, the Hangman match Revolution. I would say that, and that's like around four and a half, four and a quarter.
And I remember that shit was like,
and he got his ass handed to him by Hangman.
Correct. Hangman just thoroughly just beating the fuck out of him and making him look like he was like levels beneath him, and it was like, all right, like, and I don't know if people buy him on that level, as a top person. So.
I mean,
I'll keep watching them.
If you haven't watched him in NXT, why should you? Or Ring of Honor before, why should you? If you are the person that just tuned into TNT television, right, or TBS, whatever else,
he's been getting heavily pushed ever since he's come in. But aside from the long injury layoff,
yeah, I understand that he's an important player. He's always been an important player since he's been in AEW. I'm not saying that. I'm saying like if you have heard of Adam Cole, you've seen the rep. Or heard of the rep, he comes in his shoulders fucked up or whatever else. Then he gets concussion thing and is like, okay, he's wrestling through it and he's like, all right, well, he's good, but like he's not as good as like, I don't know, Phoenix. Maybe that's unfair because Phoenix is, talent wise is off the charts. But like, it's like he's not. Well, let's do like he's not even as good as O'Reilly when O'Reilly came in, right? And he's like, okay, all right, but he's the one getting the push, okay. And then he gets hurt, goes away for a long time, and he comes back. He's and obviously everyone likes him, and he has the boom thing. He's over, or more than that, obviously. But it's like now they're turning babyface, and like they gave him Jericho, and they did the thing with the Brit or whatever else. But it's like they went straight to rules match, and it's like, I mean, we still haven't seen what he can do, as a babyface that much, really. There's still time for that, obviously, but it's like, once you get this finish, it almost like feels like it necessitates a rematch, and immediately they do him and Jericho with Saraya and Britt in it, and it's like, all right, so that's going to continue. I don't know how much longer,
I don't think that's going to answer any questions about Adam Cole. Still,
correct?
Like,
correct.
It's just like,
yeah.
So, I don't know where
maybe they do a Jericho Cole match on TV, and like, didn't they? Everybody's moved out, everybody the fuck away in like 2 months, and they had a match, and then they answer some of this stuff. But it's like at the same time, it's like, all right, when they set up baby faces in AEW, they normally set them up for like 5 months, 4 months to get them ready for a title match, right? Or one of those are gonna be on pay-per-view. I don't know. Like, if they did Cole versus MJF right now, I mean, just based off their stature in the game, you think that's the next pay-per-view. But like right now, it feels like a TV match that you build towards over a month.
Yeah.
Or 3 weeks.
Like Forbidden Door is coming, and then like I think there's going to be like a big Dynamite. Like there's the Blood and Guts Dynamite. There's also like a July 19th in Boston Garden Dynamite as well. I would probably circle those dates for big matches or whatever. But
look. As far as that the Boston one, like, when do they announce that Willow is going to defend that never women's title? And
I guess you have to ask Gato.
And see if they can move some tickets off of that one. Because like they put Mercedes on, they showed her losing that belt on AEW television. They didn't have to do that. Something's up in that regard, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think there's something going on. I don't know quite what, but yeah. AEW World Tag Team title match then came after that, and it was FTR versus...
Sheamus Nova pointed out the Jungle Boy versus Cole match. That's another good one. That's another really good one.
Yeah, that was a nice little TV match. That
nice little TV match.
Nice little TV match.
Oh man.
The stuff that's happening on TV, that's the top of the top, is like Hangman versus Danielson. Like
Hangman versus Moxley. Yeah, I know.
Moxley,
Takeshita versus Hangman, Danielson versus Garcia or Guevara. Yeah, I know.
Like all the Kenny shit. Like
Phoenix versus O'Reilly.
This is another level. Like this is another level.
Yeah, I know.
So I'm like, nice little match. Yeah, nice little match. Cool, thanks.
Nice little match. Oh man.
But FTR against Jared Lethal. I've mentioned it before. I think either Dax Harwood is hurt or these boys have re-signed and laid it down. Or, excuse me, Dax has re-signed and laid it down. Cash Wheeler, I think, is now the leader of FTR as far as I'm concerned. When it comes to in the ring, like, he's still going balls to the wall, working hard. Dax, he can't move the way he did a year ago. Watch him pull a tape up and then watch how he's moved around, not only this match, but the last match they had. Some ain't right. He can't quite do it. This was getting no reaction. This was getting stared at.
Both of these matches.
Thank God the Jarrett family decided to change things. Thank God that Jeff Jarrett and Karen Jarrett decided to wake the building, James. They decided to wake the building, who may have been in a cocaine-induced haze out in Las Vegas. I don't know what was going on. Their early start time might have got them fucked up out there, but...
The funny part is people in the crowd say, like, the crowd was super hot, and I'm like...
I heard that.
I'm like, hey, bro, why is it that every fucking time people talk about how crowd sucks, everybody, I maybe one time I've ever been like, yeah, this crowd wasn't good. Every single time I'm like, no, we were loud. It's just the mic was bad. They've been to this fucking building before. You thought they forgot how to mic? So either someone needs to be either somebody either somebody from the technical production side needs to be called into question, or y'all ain't as loud as y'all was saying y'all was loud. Like, look, you know what was loud?
There's this right here. What's this, James?
Cap.
A cap.
Rich.
Like, bro, I watched the Puerto Rico WWE show.
Right.
That's a hot crowd.
Hey.
This crowd did not look like that.
Hey, up until the fourth quarter of Game 7 last night, TD Garden was hot as fuck. I know what a loud crowd is. Even while they're down 10 or 15 at the time, they were still loud. So until the fourth quarter, and they started booing them boys, they were like, all right, we're out of here. This was no loud crowd.
People was sitting on their hands. I was watching them.
Yeah. Like, that's the thing that people, you forget about. It's like, we can see you in the crowd, and you're sitting there, and you're not moving or making any motion or whatever else, or standing up or clapping or none of that. We just see you sitting there. You look like 500 Shang Tsung's.
You look like NPCs up there, Jan. They look like NPCs, non-playable characters. Fuck.
You look like Shang Tsung in the throne in Mortal Kombat 1. I was trying to get that one out. That's how I was trying to get that out. But you stepped on my shit. But all right, whatever, man.
My bad. What?
Like, you in there, you don't move.
Yes. Oh, the Jarrett family decided to wake the building. It's turned up towards the end with all the shenanigans, but only because of the shenanigans.
Yeah, it was just smoke and mirrors that got that thing hot. Similar to when, Britt comes out and just tears Jericho ass up with the kendo stick. That was the loudest reaction that match got. It was like, the wrestling ain't getting this crowd, or particularly me. What is getting the crowd is the shenanigans and run-ins. And like for me, I was like, I don't care about none of this shit.
We're in one of those.
I don't give a fuck.
One of those.
Yeah.
Look, and if you can train your audience for however you want them to react. I feel like so. Yeah.
I mean, look, I've seen people say this was a WWE crowd. This was like the crowd that happened on Dynamite the week before. Look, man, I'm not getting into that or whatever else. Crowd hot, crowd not hot. I spent a good number of years, unfortunately, watching clap crowds. I can focus on what's happening in the ring. What was happening in the ring wasn't that fucking exciting any goddamn way. So who cares?
TNT ladder match. FTR retains. So Aussie Open signed. One would think they're going to be starting to get in the mix at some point when Mark Davis is healthy.
Please do.
Kyle Fletcher is probably going to be working singles for quite a while, like at least like 6 or 7 weeks. Knowing them, that'll probably translate to 2 months. One can only hope they're ready by Forbidden Door. But yeah, man, this is a big one for a lot of reasons. Like, these guys are still like part of United Empire. They were floating around without contracts forever. New Japan, I think, dropped the ball on this. Like, they could have had these boys signed up. They left them off Wrestle Kingdom. They, gave them the big push in the World Tag League and all that. But
got the titles.
Eventually got the titles. Yeah, then dropped them. I remember when they vacated them, I was like,
"Yep."
I thought some was off. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
They vacated both of them.
Yep.
What's going on here?
They were strong champions, weren't they?
Yeah, they were strong champions too. Yeah.
Okay.
Zekamaki's bringing it up. People were mad at TK for signing them too. Like, I
mean, I think that's we don't want to become a feeder league. I get it. Look, we cover Stardom.
New Japan could have signed them,
right? Yeah.
Like, I don't know what the finances look like for New Japan because I think Kadani did an interview recently where he was talking about during the pandemic. They felt like they were months away from closing up or whatever, and then Tanahashi once had asked Kadani like, how many months do we have left or something like that, and then Kadani was like, don't worry about it, shit's not gonna go down like that, essentially. But I feel like they're doing better. Like, I don't know, man.
Seeing that Dominion house, or seeing how those Dominion tickets moved, or even the Sakura Jin's tickets moved, I thought they were doing better. But look, it doesn't.
It might not be a money thing like that, but
right. Maybe
you can't tell me they didn't have the opportunity to sign.
Maybe they're on a Gaijin quota.
Could be.
right? Like we never really talk about that sort of stuff, but like there were quotas in pro wrestling around here for a long fucking time. And like that's not so much the case now, but like, hey, if you wanna pull up the wiki for Japan and then look at the demographics, there might be a quota. There might be a quota that we just don't know about.
I'll say this: if you white and you wrestling in New Japan Pro Wrestling, chances are you're gonna end up in AEW. That's just what it seems like. From Kenny Omega on, essentially, and the Young Bucks on, Hangman Page on, like to this day, it's a Jay White and then Aussie Open in like back-to-back months. And Will Ospreay's contract is up at the end of the year.
Yeah, I saw something Ospreay had mentioned, I guess, recently about like he doesn't want to live in America, so we'll see how that goes and how long.
We'll see.
Right. Look, we'll see when you start seeing 6 zeros next to it the deal.
When Tony Khan goes like this, put a number on there, Will, that you would like.
And the thing about it is like it won't just be Tony Khan will be offering him that kind of money too. Like they will throw a big money offer at or WWE will throw a big money offer at Ospreay too. So like yeah, don't.
Sheamus said
he'll have to turn down. He will be having to turn down 2 American companies, not just one.
He said needs Rich to receive that statement. I don't want to see Chase Owens and the Bang Bang Gang. I mean. Neither do I. I mean,
look. I get it, but at the same time, look, we did see.
Yeah, like, hey, man. Here. Exactly. Wasabi King brings up a great point. That Will Ospreay, I don't want to live in America shit. That's an Aaron Rodgers style non-answer. Like, Pac does not live in the United States either. Right. Wasabi King says so. Like that tells us nothing. Will, like, who are you fooling? Not I, not me.
Like even if he honestly believed that, it'd be like, yeah, cool. I want you to walk away from this money.
Look, I know how airplanes work, nigga. Like Tony Khan's a private jet. They'll come get you. Fuck.
That's funny.
Quit playing with me. Quit playing in my face. But whatever you got to do to give your current fans hope, you know. So,
I mean, that is true. You can't just be like, "Oh yeah, I'm out of there. I'm out of there."
Oh yeah.
I'm glad you asked me, Mr. Interview Man. I can't wait to get this off. Hey, y'all watching me for the next 6 months? I'm out this bitch. I'm going to the other side of the planet.
Start reacting to me all fucked up. You know, look, notice that Will Ospreay didn't say no shit. Like, you know, he didn't like leak no pictures with no other companies' contracts accidentally in them and shit. You know, notice he didn't do none of that. Notice he didn't suddenly start beginning a podcast to you know, to stir shit in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Notice he didn't do any of these things.
Right.
Tony Storm against Jamie Hayter, as we mentioned, fake job here. Angle. You could tell like immediately when they don't hit her mute, she doesn't come out, and I'm like, oh, here it goes. And then at this point, I'm like, literally that Kel Mitchell. Oh, here it goes.
Yep.
Actually, I skipped Wardlow versus Christian. Sorry.
Oh wow. That was. I think this was the best of the matches in between, like the opener and the last 2 matches.
Indeed, the best of the, you know.
Yeah, the best of the mediocre. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say this though, it might just be us and our personal group of friends. We might just be as a collective lower than this in general than the average fan because I've seen people be on our side. I also see people think that it's also great. I've also seen people be like, it was in the middle between those, like the matches in between what we're talking about, like that 2 and 40 minute like run, 2 hours and 40 minute run in between. Like I've seen people be more it's kind of polarizing, but I just felt like it was aside from this the ladder match, I just wasn't feeling most of this stuff.
I think I'm going like 2.5 on Cole and Jericho.
I might just give it 3, but when someone is like, you know what that means.
Yeah, and then the FTR match, you know, 3.25 maybe. This match for me, maybe like, you know, 3.25, 3.5. Also,
I'd probably go 3.5, which means it's an average ladder match.
And I remember like when this match got announced, there was a comment in the group chat. It was like, can Christian have these matches? I'm like, yeah, he's not gonna be the one jumping off shit. Warlow is.
Sure enough, I almost want to do one of my favorite pastimes. Like, what do The Rock and Christian Cage have in common, Rich?
Please tell me.
They did a ladder match where they ain't doing not one damn big bump at all. People talk about it as one of the best matches of that era. Pull up that 98 SummerSlam. Go watch that ladder match between Triple H and The Rock. Hey man, I know people talk about how The Rock don't give a fuck about was so giving as a wrestler. And maybe he was as far as who wins and who loses, but he wasn't giving his body for this business. That man said, look, if I want to ask Rock if I ever run into Dwayne Johnson, be like, hey, bro, be real with me. You didn't want to do this ladder match, did you? And he'd be like, nope. I definitely didn't want, I didn't want to do all that falling. Triple H, you gonna do all that shit. You don't want to win in any goddamn way. So yeah, man, Christian was in that same mode, like, bro, I'm in here, I'm gonna lose, but I ain't taking no bumps. I'll lose. I ain't taking no big bumps. No, thank you.
So I think Wardlow is an interesting case. I think we're celebrating the 1 year anniversary of the peak of his powers, essentially, and then being zapped after the MJF feud. He, I think, is probably getting so much bad advice from lots of people. A, he cut his hair. I don't know if that was him or what, but I feel like he lost some of his powers there. It's a me thing, whatever. I think he's probably getting told the guy's clearly physically talented, can do a lot of athletic things, and has went through a lot of different moves in his short career in AEW. He used to do the F10. He used to do that knee thing in the corner. He doesn't do those anymore. He had the power bombs at one point.
He still has power bomb.
He has power bomb. He likes to come off the top rope. We know he likes to come off the top rope. He'll run up that bitch and do like the whisper in the wind.
Yep.
He'll do the swanton, all the Hardy Boyism, right? Like, and I don't know, man. I feel like he's being told to do less all the time. He's probably heard that dozens of times from all these people. But what if we just allowed Wardlow to embrace who he really wants to be? Why don't we go back to the Hardy compound and we go in Matt Hardy's closet and pull him one of those pairs of Jinko jeans out?
The funny part is, it's just so big they would fit Wardlow right now.
Correct. Why don't we allow Wardlow to embrace his true self? You know, why don't we allow Wardlow to just start jumping off shit uninhibited? Why don't we allow that? Why don't we just try that for a while? Put them with the Hardy Boys. We know they're over. I know they're corpses. Like I know they can't, do the things they did. And a picture of them actually came out today with Wardlow. So
okay,
the agenda. Well, look, I'm working on this. I'm workshopping this agenda. Why don't we allow Wardlow to try something else? We don't need Arn Anderson with him biting fingers and fake blood. No, get that shit the fuck out of here.
Okay, so I'm with you, and then I think twice about it, and like, I don't think in this current landscape in 2023 that we should have anybody taking or being put underneath the wing of Jeff Hardy. I don't think that's a good idea. I think that's ill-advised. I think that can be problematic. So yeah, like, I'm with you, but I don't want that man hanging out with him.
We got to get Wardlow the mesh shirt.
If you want to say Matt, sure. Jeff, no. Yeah. Absolutely not.
Why don't we allow, maybe Jeff can just be saved for, like, you only see Jeff every once in a while, No,
like, you just basically, like, you sequester Jeff in the building, like, you give him his own locker room. You put him, you put Matt in the locker room with him. You put Matt in the all right, I'm stop. But yeah, man. I I feel like Jeff should just be like, hey, come to the shows, leave the shows. Like, I know people love him as far as that stuff, but like as far as social life and stuff and hanging out after that, no, we're not really doing that. We're not really doing that with Jeff. Not really doing that. Like, we can't trust that dude to be in a setting to go out here and get the keys and drive. We can't be put him in that kind of situation. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do with him at this point. I don't. He came back 3 weeks ago, like this month, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with him. He's on a pre-show.
Yeah.
Do you just? I don't know I don't know what his terms are, or whatever else. But that's like one of those where like you just let the contract run out and you just move.
Bro, I know he wants to push him. Like, yeah, I know he wants to push
because he's a big star and he still can do like he can still do the swanton. He can still do.
He want to do this
big fall
nostalgia
on the apron
shit
and all that kind of stuff. But it comes at a price where eventually he's gonna fuck around, get drunk, and then drive.
Like, we have El Vikingo like in the fucking atmosphere here. Like, we have like all this new generation of guys. Like, come on, man, move on. Especially like all these old guys that aren't like, you know, I don't know, man.
Well, the real thing was like, hey, man, like they immediately put him with Darby. They did the stuff, and then he fucked it up immediately.
After that, as we mentioned, the fake job. Tony Storm, Jamie Hayter swapped the belt to Tony Storm after like a 3-minute match. Jamie Hayter, I think, far and away the best AEW Women's Champion in history.
I mean, the only other answer would be what, Sheeta?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or yeah.
As far as just build defenses, like the run level quality defenses, is what I mean.
I think this is unfortunate for her that she kind of had to do this whole deal, but this whole thing, this happens, and Tony Storm wins, and she goes in the press conference and starts crying again about the interim belt, and maybe she's being a heel, maybe she's not, but she was doing this when she was babyface too. Right. So who am I to determine when it's a work and when it's not now? But yeah, it's a lot.
It's something that annoys her that she's playing into with her character. That's how I feel.
So, yeah, we get short angles type matches like these when people don't want interim belts around and shit like that. So,
yeah. I mean, but look at the bright side. Like, she's still a champion anyway because stays in the crew.
So after that, we got the trios match. It's an open challenge from the House of Black. It's answered by the Acclaimed. Max Caster fries them up pretty decent. Kind of reworks his Dark Order, no black guys line with the House of Black, no black guys. He fried up Buddy Matthews. Talking about he's being cucked by a guy named Dom. Big reaction for that.
Which is like one of those things where it's like that's funny because like literally the heat is that like Dom doesn't. He wants to, but he doesn't. It's very Jericho and Stephanie. It's very much that. Like that is the heat. But whatever. Maybe he's not watching it. I wouldn't. Yeah. I don't.
Yeah. No, look, be confused about it. Works better.
But
yeah,
then he says a line about Malachi being in blackface as he's not actually in blackface that time.
Yeah,
it never has actually really been in blackface. It's like partial parts of his face or whatever else, and then someone actually did show him blackface in the main event.
We'll talk about that later.
Maybe you should have said these barbers was actually really using blackface actually instead of just saying, "Oh, it's kind of, sort of."
I know we got to talk about that later, but bro, when I first saw the show, I was like, "Is this nigga in blackface?" Like I was like, "Please have some." I was like, "Please don't." So I saw the mask. I'm like, "Man, no, man, this ain't." We'll get to it.
I'm just glad that AEW was able. It happens so often, and white people fuck up and overstep this bounds all the time, and they don't know that this is. Apparently, either obviously the answer is they don't care. But most people do know. But like I'm just glad they were able to, like, AEW is able to, like, now be the most recent face of blackface in pro wrestling. We can move on from Waka Tsukiyama from that fucking New Blood show last year. It was like, what?
What are you doing?
Well, I know what you're going for. You're doing the opposite of Ram's face paint, but no. I'm glad that Waka's not the last person to do a blackface on in pro wrestling. So now, you know, AEW has a title until, you know, it's almost like the king of pro wrestling, the king of blackface.
Yes. You hold the blackface world championship. Yo.
Yeah. So currently it's that guy. But we can go back to this match. This conversation is more interesting than this match was.
Yes, indeed. This was like a house show match. I don't really have much more to say. It was very
more fun than just someone squashing the team for.
This was just very slow, like, and it was just like. Then it was like, damn, this is like stylistically. I'm like, huh? Like I'm sure that the Acclaim could probably have a good tag team match with these guys.
Absolutely.
But then, like, when you're throwing like them coming in there, like having to set up Billy Gunn, and it's just like, that's not why we here.
Right. And they look, I understand that because of the matches with Swerve and Lee, that like maybe they have themselves a match based around, like, they have Bowens start out because he's the better wrestler of the two. He basically gets worked over a limb. He sells like crazy to put a hot tag towards Caster. Caster runs out of steam. They get Bowens back in there, and Bowens is basically, after getting a breather and able to, you know, rest up a little bit, can kind of finish off the match, and you get to the near falls. Understand that fundamentally sound story, right, of a tag match. The problem is this was not dynamic enough of basically I just laid out. It was so much of, we're stuck in this stage where they just beat on him, and then they beat on him, and then they beat on him, and then they tease like they're going to tag, and then they beat on him, and then they tease like they're going to tag, and then they thwart that again, and they beat on him, and they tease another one, and they beat on him, and then after I think by the time they got to the third or fourth time they teased it, they finally did it, and they got the hot tag. The hot tag was for Billy Gunn. Billy Gunn runs no sells, a bunch of stuff, tells them to suck his dick before he hits them with famoussers, and then he gets hit with one move and was out of there. And I was like, okay, well, this was a TV match. This was a pay-per-view match. But why is this the match? I understand they claim a big deal, but like, if you need to justify putting the Acclaim on the show, put them on the show and let them have a good match. Who put this together? Whose idea was this? And the idea is we're gonna beat your ass for like, how long did the match go? Do you know? You have a match time, any chance?
This went 15-21. All
right. So yeah, bro, we're gonna beat your ass for 14 minutes, and then like Billy Gunn comes in, and then like he hits like 5 moves, and then we end up cutting him off, hitting him with a move, and get out of there. Cool. Slap 5s and go to and walk out. What the fuck? Like the 5 of them of the 6. I'm sorry. Between the brain and experience, and then the 5 of them, the 6 of them are talented enough and smart enough. No, this wasn't good enough. Am I wrong here in saying that?
Oh.
Yeah, it was disappointing. It just was.
Yeah.
And like when the Acclaim came out, it was like, oh, the crowd perked up. They were happy to see him. They haven't seen him because, you know, they took the belts off and give him to the Guns. The fuck. And then they come out and then this happens.
Yeah. Up next, AEW TBS Championship match. Taya Valkyrie gets a real big entrance with like some, I think, kind of like Las Vegas style things. Crowd kind of reacts to her like a star. Then Jay Cargo comes out with Big Boss Vet, who has a song called Pretty Girls Walk Like This. This got a big reaction as well too. This went over a lot better than one would think or whatever, but like all the forums like I was in were popping like really big for this. So she comes out, she does a AKA stroll with her sorority sisters.
Yeah, I didn't know she was AKA until I saw the color scheme. I was like, okay. So I
don't know about none of that stuff.
This is this pay-per-view didn't go. This pay-per-view, as you mentioned, it didn't. Like I looked up at the clock. It was like, oh shit, the grocery store's about to close at 10. It's like 9:50. Let me go grab something. And then because I had to go grab something. I think it was pineapple. I had to go grab pineapple. Had to go grab a pineapple, come back. So I had on delay, and the catch up was to skip through Interested. So I missed like that stuff. But like they get in the ring as I'm fast forwarding through this stuff from bell ring to bell ring, like I'm watching, G1 at catch up at like 3 a.m. And like I see her, I see the gear. I'm like, this is like AKA color, except like the pink is like a different color. It's not the right shade of pink, but whatever. And then I later find out that she was AKA. It's like, oh, okay. All right, makes sense. But I thought that the story of the match, given what they've done with them having a match before, where she wasn't allowed to use, the glam slam or whatever they're calling it. When she got her up, when Taya got her up, the crowd was like, she's gonna win. And
this match got over.
Yeah,
like, it got over, and I think it, in a lot of ways, like kind of turned the crowd around.
Which, I mean, it definitely turned around by the time they got past once they got to the post-match stuff. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But, Jade, after 500 plus days, 60 wins, she goes out there and she then, starts talking much shit. Chris Statler then comes out, beats her in a few minutes. So Jade drops his belt. I don't know if this is a sign of because
we never seen it. She had it so long, we don't know what they can do. It feels because we haven't seen it. We don't know what the possibilities are because we also know that they seem to have a time crunch or a quota on the amount of time that the women have on these shows. Even though it seems like they're going to be another show, so they should get obviously more time. But it's also all right, this if they're going to. Because I feel like they, there's enough talent there. Like they can clearly take this in a different direction. What they have been doing it, and they have to do something with the women besides what's tied up in the Britt Baker, Jamie, Outcast stuff.
Right. I think it was time for her to drop that belt or whatever, and then you can actually use the TBS belt for people that aren't getting fed into the Jade. Hamster wheel or the Jade wood chipper. You're just going in there to get killed.
Yeah. This could be the workwoman's belt. While that's tight, this could be all right, y'all over there and y'all are doing this, and it's been going on for months and months and months, and maybe it'll go on until the end of time. Over here, we will have a regular division. So we'll see. That'd be fun. But, obviously Statlander is good enough to be able to do that, from, every other week. So, yeah.
So, I'm not sure where Jay goes. I heard some people calling for her to turn face. You could do that.
I was already cheering her, so if you want to, go ahead. Don't make me no difference.
I think she should get involved, with a lot of the people she hasn't worked with yet, because, when they would just go on about there being nothing left for her, I would just be like, stop the cap. I guess this does show that it always was Chris Statlander. They were just holding on to that shit or whatever.
Crazy.
The whole time.
Tony Khan must have promised her verbally, yeah, you're going to be the next champion. And he was like, I ain't never turned my change. You got hurt, you'll be back, and don't roll. I'll get it back to you whenever you come back. Cause if it had been me, hey, bro, all right, it's time. It's time. And, you can come back and you can get that belt from someone that's not Jade. But it's been so much damn time. But he held that. Yeah. He stuck that shit on both of them for forever. And I don't know if that was, and I feel like that was to the detriment of the interest of Jade. Because there wasn't much they had for her. She was stuck in a holding pattern for months. People were even tricking themselves into thinking Rich, do you remember this? Hey, Jay wears green all the time, and Red Velvet showed up and walked in front of them wearing red, so that because red and green are opposing colors as far as secondary colors and primary colors, it's supposed to be visually catch your eye and say that, oh, she's the one that's going to take the belt off her. Remember that? Hey, is Sam in here? No?
I know he was earlier.
All right, he'll hear this eventually.
He is. Oh. I think he is.
Okay, if Sam's in here, I'm poking fun at Sam, but whatever.
The only way the way I would have probably did that was like, yo, the first person that you ever beat was Red Velvet, and then you could lose it to her. I would have went that way with it, but they could
have done it. The problem is they didn't build up enough in her to make you really believe that was gonna happen. And like, I still believe in Red Velvet. She's somebody that, like, if she took a trip, overseas, I would like to see her wrestle more people, get more reps. 'Cause I think she's talented enough already, and I think she can, even get better. But it wasn't in the cards. It just never seen in the cards that that was gonna happen. But yeah, like, I feel like this opens up a lot of stuff for the women in AEW now that, like, that run is done and we can move on and make it something different.
Yep. Up next, AEW World Championship 4 Pillars 4-way match, and man, there was a lot of people doing the talking during this feud. And I was, and I came on here and talked about the low points. I talked about how they dug themselves out of it. And, by the time they got to the show, I thought it was decent, right? Then the entire time I said, this match is going to be incredible when they do it. The whole time. Now, when the 4 Pillars came out here and smoked this, I need y'all to start being very vocal as you were during the whole build. Do we act like these guys are not great wrestlers? Like, did we forget this? Like, this.
I think I think people can consistently get caught up in the MJF hokey stuff and lose focus on the part where it's like, nah, man, he's a great wrestler. It's just he does shit that makes you, because he's so good at his job, and also at times unfocused in the way he tells stories with his promos from week to week, that, like, you get lost. Sometimes you forget that, and then, like, he only wrestles once every month or less than that. So, like, once a month he'll remind you.
Yeah, man, this was I had a lot of sensational moves. I thought Sammy Guevara was like, this is like the best night of his career. I thought
he announces
yes.
I think that ladder match with Cody was awesome.
Like,
I'm not arguing with match is better. This is probably better. I'm just saying, like, if I was thinking of what I think of Sammy Guevara's best moment, it's probably that ladder match still. But he was awesome in his match. He was awesome against sometimes against Danielson too.
Yeah. And he came back around and announced, him and Ty Mello are having a child, and was cheered for it, and came back all the way on the other side and got cheered. I saw this and I started howling. I was like, look, I knew y'all would love him again.
Oh, I mean, they pop for the baby. It's like popping for a title change. So we'll see how this goes. Like, if I were him, I'd figure out how to find some like weird, like, I don't know if I align with JAS for now. I would do that right now.
Like, I think they should pull the trigger. I think they should pull the trigger on the breakup. Like, him and Jericho. Like, him and Jericho, you have to do it.
Well, not even that. All you gotta do is be like, I mean, because they've been teasing all throughout and hinted at it subtly with the looks they give each other. And I thought, like, maybe they would just do it as a storyline, eventually come out as a tag team, but, like, just do Jericho choose Garcia over Guevara.
And, like, be like, I thought you were going to bring the world title back to the JAS. Like, and give it to me or whatever. Like, ooh, hold on, what? Like,
ooh, that's nasty.
He was like, hold on, what? He was like, yeah,
that's like that Orton Evolution send off shit.
But you couldn't even win it. Like,
that's nasty.
that isn't how I trained you.
That's
for
and they'd be like, hey, well, remind me, Chris, how did you do in the last title match you had for the AEW World? Oh, you lost too?
Ooh.
Okay.
Look, I know there are people that hear this show. Feel free to steal. But like I said, this match was sensational. This was like a lot of big moves. This was a lot of like callback stuff.
Yes.
This was paying tribute to the people that kind of these positions. This was a really fucking big match for the company too. I don't want to hear Ricky Starks crying on podcasts about what the 4 pillars don't mean and mean or whatever. Like,
what
it
happened?
Means something. So, like, he was on a podcast basically running down the 4 pillars like concept in AEW, and everything like that. It's like a 2-minute clip. It's kind of too long for me to sum up, but for me, it sounded like a whole bunch of whining and crying that it ain't him or whatever. So he was like, "Oh, he don't want to be one," and all this other shit. I'm like, "All right, man, it's not that deep for one." Like,
I mean, for how old is Starks again?
Starks is like 32, 33.
So he's too old to be a pillar anyway. So so that's one.
That's
and two,
big thing. That's a big thing people miss with this, James, because I always see people be like, Orange Cassidy's a pillar. Orange Cassidy's 38. These guys were all here in 2019 when they were below like 26 years of age, all of them, or whatever. That's the point of it. Like, these were the guys at the beginning. That's it. That's all it is. Like, and like, you know, it's a cute thing, cute ode to all Japan or whatever. Like, and I know a lot of people that like this or whatever. So it's like, you know, I thought this was a very like important match, like to see this through, to do it or whatever, because there are things that didn't get to happen, James. Like, when did we ever get that Shield triple threat match at WrestleMania? No, we didn't. Nope. Like, so the fact that we got something like this, I think is really cool. From 5 years ago to right now, like, these guys were able to like build themselves up to whatever level they're on. Are some of them not finished products? Sure. Some of them aren't. They're not who they're going to be yet.
Yeah. But and look, just because the company would like it to be so does not mean like they will end up being like 4 world champions eventually. I never thought it was ever in the cards for or whatever else. That's not how pro wrestling works, where you say, "Hey, we got this plan," and then because we're so great at booking pro wrestling, it will work out exactly as we want it to 5 years from now, and no one will get hurt. No one will ever quit. No one will ever get another job somewhere else. Like, that's not how that works. Like, hell, look at Rossi with the Golden Generation shit, right? Himeka's already fucking gone. Like, that's not how this works.
And the whole thing is like the fan service of people that have been watching AEW from the beginning. This is for that. And I think there's too many people that either are trying to not care about that, downplay that, anything like that, when that's like, look, that shit was a whole hell of a lot hotter. Look, we want to start talking about what people were reacting to and shit. It was these guys, the guys in the main event, and then this shit. Like,
to be fair though, and I was saying this when I was like, I don't like what this is doing for Jungle Boy. I don't like what this is doing Guevara. I always said, match is gonna be great. Why? Because it's 4 great wrestlers, and they got in the ring, and they all went out there, and it was great. And like, that's the thing when it comes down to it. Like, regardless of whether or not like you were into the build or not, the main thing is like they're giving you a match that you know is going to be awesome. Like, you can have your points on as far as like whether or not Jungle Boy or Guevara belong, and I have them too. But you can't say the boys can't go out there and get 45. You can't say that.
This is an all time, you know, y'all got to shut the fuck up moment right here. MJF wins. Just lots of great. He
wins by coffin drop from Darby onto Jungle Boy, and MJF grabs the belt and throws it on top of Jungle Boy, thereby incapacitating Jungle Boy, and then he picks up Darby, who just took a coffin drop onto the belt, and then gets the headlock takeover. Is another callback to their match, and like, hey man, it also sets up to like, hey, Darby's gonna get a shot at this, and if he ever does beat MJF for the world title, it will be with a headlock takeover. So like, you know, 6 months, however many months from now, like when they had that match, like that's gonna be the big near faller to give or the you know, crescendo on this thing. So yeah.
Also that you know, Chris Statlander like is along with like, you know, the pillars. Like, these are the people like Sam's in the comments right now. TK does stuff for others, but he looks after his core audience and the wrestlers that stuck through thick and thin. Look at how much cheering the Guns did in the pandemic before they were anyone. Same with Kip Sabian. He's a loyal guy. Yeah, I think that's a good point. But you know, we'll see.
Yeah, because like, the thing with the loyalty thing is like, yeah, everybody, when you are, you know, Swerve has talked about this, right? As far as on interviews, how he talked about like how he felt like the person that got the most shit done for him as far as him getting shit moving in NXT was Shawn and not Triple H. But Triple H told him that like, you are my guy, and then Swerve was like, hey, am I your guy like Gargano or Cole? Or I don't know if he verbalized that, but that's what Swerve was like in his mind saying, or that's what he was basically alluding to. Like, when you got, it's one thing to say that, you know, as a booker or a head coach or whatever else, say like, or GM, that like, you're loyal to your guys, but like, hey man, this ain't no basketball team, this is a football team. There's 50 motherfuckers. How much loyalty can you show to 50 motherfuckers? You know what I'm saying? So, it's a hard balancing act. It really is. Yeah, it really is.
So in this case, it was like, I think this was a great match. Like, and this match should have happened, and you know, and I'm glad it did. So, and luckily, like they did this at a point where like they had a match that was bigger. That they, you know, if you have your issues with, you know, this is the main event of AEW pay-per-view. Well, they can do Anarchy in the Arena. This is more than good enough to be a main event match. So, like, you know, they did the thing that I was wondering, like, are they going to do it? Like, are they going to put the world title in some main event? I feel like more people care about Anarchy in the Arena, and they did the right thing. Like, this is why you can't get rigid into, like, this is the title, so therefore that's going to last. Like, sometimes it's just a mistake. Yeah.
Ask Triple H at WrestleMania 25 and Randy Orton.
I probably would go like that 4.66666 on this, like, you know.
So I love the match. Did I think 4 3/4? I never thought that. I thought 4.5 definitely though. I can see you saying like you're thinking about it because I mean the match was spectacular. The storytelling and the callbacks to some of the promos that I thought was kind of just MJF, you know, from week to week doing this where he does it where like every single week he comes at a different angle to try to sell something. And then I guess this whole idea is like, I have all these ideas for what I want the match to be. And like by week, I will add certain things into it. This worked better than like the Daniel Bryan, build, but, it's still an issue where it's like, it doesn't feel that coherent. Like you're watching the same person with the same, you know, issues from week to week. It feels like this is what I want to talk about this week. And I'll just shoehorn it in to make it a match. And that's the part that feels clunky on the front end, but absolutely all this, you know, these promos did have purpose by the end of it. So, I thought it was a great achievement, by all four of them dudes to be able to have that kind of match, have that kind of storytelling involved in it, have characters involved where you have, you know, Jungle Boy and MJF, where, you know, MJF breaks kayfabe to say how after I beat you by cheating, I talked to you backstage and said, hey, you got to stop being a nice guy. And then Jungle Boy says, hey, you know, I have thought about that stuff, but then I just leave me as being a piece of shit like you, and I ain't going out like that. And then he gets the chance to use that belt, and then he puts it down. All the stuff with, can I get you in my pocket, Guevara? And then like, you know, hey, you need that money. You got to you're going to be a family man. You want that money, and then use that to sucker him to a pin. Like all that stuff tied in. So like, I really enjoyed this match. Like this is, you know, really fun match. Like I wouldn't mind rewatching this at all.
Moves, baby.
Yeah, that too. Amongst all the moves, it did that. Like, look,
right.
Those four aren't quite on the Young Bucks elite level of callbacks and tying and all that kind of stuff, but this was damn good when it came to that. This really was.
Up next, main event, Anarchy in the Arena. Fucking sensational. This was just like, it was fucking pure chaos. But first, the blackface. I saw someone where the Blackface Combat Club. I was like, wow, I didn't know they was getting down like this. Well, buddy, you know, he had the shirt on underneath, you know.
Hey, I don't know what that has to do with Blackface Combat. I said Blackface Combat. I don't know what that has to do with Blackpool Combat Club in general. Like, look, there's a lot of people that wear nasty stuff that have nothing to do with whatever. But yeah, I don't know how I'm sure when they did sound check and all that kind of stuff and said all that stuff,
he was not wearing that shit.
He wasn't wearing that. But like at some point, he had to walk from the back. Who was it? Just it's too late. We can't tell him to take that shit off, or we can't put a hockey mask over his face. It's too late. He just got to go out there. We can't stop it. I don't know, but
hey, explain what this is. Like, like
anytime you have that conversation where you go like, "Hey, explain to me why this isn't blackface," then it's blackface, right? If you can start a question, explain to me why that isn't blackface. That's blackface. Period. We're done here in the discussion.
Yeah, he's wearing a mask and it has paint underneath, and then there's like a red line under the lip part, and it's like. The whole time I'm just looking and I'm like, I don't quite get it, but I see it's a mask. I'm like, okay, thank God he's not actually blackface.
But it was only a mask, but the mask ended like at his nose.
Right. But I'm like, for all like intents and purposes, this is blackface. Like, right. I don't know. So they're playing Wild Thing.
Because you could be like, hey, do you remember I think it was Adam Carolla. He's talking about how Charles Manson had the swastika on his forehead, and then he went to court, and that man covered up the floor. He's like, "Hey, what's underneath that bandage?" Like, so this man shows up with a black top half, and then a black paint at the bottom. Be like, "Hey, what's underneath that black half?" What if right? People that be like, "Hey, that was a black face. He's got the mask over the top. That wasn't full." Be like, "Hey, what?" So tell me what was underneath the mask. What if Buddy actually had painted his whole face?
And they were like, "Hey man, put this on so it ain't that bad."
Underneath the blackface mask is more blackface paint.
Layers.
It's like a Russian nesting doll of blackface.
You gotta peel back the blackface on you boys. So I saw this and I was like, all right. He ended up catching a double super kick for his trouble. So blackface in the end was defeated. But thank you, Young Bucks.
Oh my god!
But this shit was fucking crazy, bro.
Yes, it was.
The part with Claudio and Matt Jackson when they're in the fucking pickup truck, I was like, huh. And then like that was crazy. He was doing a pile driver in that truck. I just love this whole thing. Like, This was just like literally what it says it is. Anarchy. I've kind of thought about this year's as compared to last year's, and I think I like last year's more, just slightly. But this one was just like, man, like you get the big twist at the end, which is like Callis is on commentary the whole time. You get the fucking exploding super kick, which I just like. When you pop for something like really hard, and you're just like, I can't believe what the fuck what he just did. Like that's why I was like, I didn't even see that coming. I was like, okay, hold on, his shoe just exploded in this man's head. Like what? And it looked good. I was like, wow.
So all of a sudden he's hitting it like all of a sudden like. We're in a fighting video game and like Chung-Li just came out with a big rush with an energy kick. It's like, what the fuck? What happened here? Yeah. It was funny. And it's like, it's anarchy in the arena, so like anything goes. Like, yeah, why not like, have pyro attached to a shoe? It's legal. Yeah. Fuck them.
Yeah. Kenny and Hangman like kind of doing some double team spots. Like they were beating the shit out of each other. Everybody beating the shit out of each other.
Days, yeah.
Moxley was bleeding within minutes.
Yeah.
Of course. It was the first Danielson action in months. Trying to think of like some other stuff that happened. Like it was just so much. Like the camera's just going all the way around. They play Wild Thing 3 times or whatever. And I would have preferred like the regular song.
Same. Especially, but no blackface. So
no blackface with the regular song, but yeah. So this whole thing kind of crescendos to where Kenny has Wheeler Yuta in the ring, like Cal's on commentary at ringside, kind of just wandering around, trying to get into line of vision to distract and stuff like that. Kenny picks up Wheeler Yuta and turns around on purpose, and then like puts him down, essentially luring Don in, and then I'm yelling at the top of my lungs. I'm like, get this motherfucker. Like, it's on. It's time. Like, it's time for you to pay the piper. And then a black blur flies across the screen, and it's Konosuke Takeshita in a Pooh Shiesty mask, doing a fucking a knee to the face. He unmasked. I'm like, oh my god, it's Takeshita. It's Takeshita. And then he unmasked. I'm like, yep, it's Takeshita. So he, basically, they then stab him, I believe, with the screwdriver gimmick. And Wheeler Yuta comes in, seatbelts Kenny Omega for the 1, 2, 3, and Takeshita goes off the air. Yes, Matt Jackson lost his shoe in the match too, also, he did some fucking craziness. So, like, I forgot to mention that.
Yeah, because he used the shoe, and then Claudio was like, "Give me that fucking shoe." He took that shoe off.
Took the shoe off. So the anytime Matt Jackson loses a shoe, it's like either you win or you lose, and now it's like you lose. So the next time he loses a shoe, they're gonna win. Like, so, like, people have tracked this shit.
Okay.
So, they do a fucking atomic drop, and he does his foot right into the thumbtacks. I'm like, all right, man. Like all I ever hear is how tough the Young Bucks aren't. Like, bro, they've been beating these allegations with a stick for like 15 years now. Like shut up. Like,
yeah, like my question is about them being not tough, but like, or when I watch it, the match just feels soft. It's not because they don't take crazy bumps or none of that shit. It's just like the action doesn't feel like if I throw in, I don't know, a Kota Ibushi match or a Kenny Omega match, and then watch them, like, it doesn't feel nearly as physically, whatever. But, like, it's a different style. It just is what it is. But, yeah, I mean, they've had millions of these ladder matches and shit where they do crazy shit. Like, it's not actually a question of soft. It's just, like, it just doesn't feel like, watching some, I don't know, it's not like watching a Noah tag team match. It's not watching Holy Demon Army, if you will. Or not Noah, but AJW.
So it ends with Takeshita, Callis aligned with the BCC, seemingly in a super unit. I don't know if they're actually together, like, or if they're just here fucking Kenny Omega's like life up or whatever.
Yeah, I think that's what it is going to be. I think it's going to be like, they're going to tease like they're joining forces because it's fuck Kenny Omega, but like, I don't think they're actually together. I don't think this is like, the alliance to destroy Elite Mania. I don't think that's actually what this is.
Yeah. Like, I saw this and I got pretty excited. And it was like, it wasn't like somebody turned on Kenny that's fucking sorry that I don't want to watch him wrestle.
Right.
So there was a much different feeling on this than, say, I don't know, somebody else or whatever. But yeah, I was it
is interesting though. I don't know any of the political like ramifications that come with like, hey, you're the New Japan or you're the IWGP United States champion. Do we really want this dude like feuding with Takeshita? Unless Takeshita is just obviously going to lose. But that's a whole different discussion. But but as far as the match, give me the match.
Bro, this like, and do you think about it? It's like, yeah, this is why he was brought into promotion. Essentially, it's like he built himself up the last couple years, like having all these great matches. Everybody knows who he is now, and then when it's time to like give him this push, now they flip him, put him with Callis. That's an instant hot storyline, an instant big match for both of them, and that's just gonna be. And now. Like that, I don't know, bro. I think this is the dopest shit going, and they're going to be on the show Wednesday together, I believe, addressing all this. And
it follows in a long tradition of American pro wrestling history, where it's like, hey, we got a Japanese guy, let's turn him heel. long tradition, a long tradition.
There is a question for that because I saw a lot of people saying this guy's such a natural, great baby face, and I think there is something to that. I think he could have kept him, doing what he was doing. He was getting over, but this could be like the second coming of the Great Muta and Gary Hart. This could be, like we already know Callis is great, and now he's on the other side, like of Kenny. So it's like this. I'm all the way in on this dynamic. I think this is like the Kenny Takeshi match. I hope it makes it to one of the pay-per-view events that they do or something. I hope they don't do it as a TV match. Even if if they do, it'll do great and it'll be awesome. But I just want I want these pay-per-views to feel like these the AEW pay-per-view is supposed to feel, and I believe they would have a 5-star match.
Yeah, they have a great match. Obviously, like it's two of the 20 most talented wrestlers in the world. So yeah, so obviously I know they're connected because of the DDT stuff, but I didn't know, but I never really thought about it. Like it was just the thing of like, oh, he's fucking awesome. I would like to see him versus Kenny Omega because like anytime I see someone awesome, I'm thinking like, oh, I would like to see them versus Ospreay, Okada, Omega, Mayu Iwatani, Shuri. Like so, I always do that kind of stuff anyway. So it doesn't Danielson. So it doesn't really. So yeah, that went through my mind already. But then it was like, oh, they're gonna have a program for it. I thought it was like they just don't put it on the air like Vikingo and Omega. But this is even better because obviously the storyline involved. So it'll be a great way to get people to that like are blind or racist to be like, oh yeah, that fucking Kesha guy. Like now that he's a dick and whatever else, like I feel I care about him one way or the other. Which is, I always hear is like the big thing about people, like whether or not they like wrestling is whether or not they care about the characters. Like, I mean, like, cool, bro. There's different ways to like this stuff at different times and different ways to get it done. But like that, saying like you watch Takeshita and like, watch him wrestle and be like, I'm not really into it. It's like, okay, man, then I get wrestling just ain't for you. I just feel like wrestling just ain't for you. Like if you want the soap opera stuff, like, cool, I get it. It does add to matches. Definitely does when it's done well. But like, have you ever seen actual soap operas? They're better than this normally. I don't get it.
Konosuke Takesha, I hope they burn your cinnamon rolls. Yeah.
If there was college, if there was like NIL or whatever else, like Takeshita and Cinnabon, that'd be nice little NIL package. Yeah.
They would have to break bread with old Takesha. Takesha at the end. Cinnabon band.
Oh man.
I can't believe the way he's bringing shame. Cinnabon may actually want to bring him to the table and be like, hey, we had to renege this NIL deal. You acting up.
You acting outside of yourself.
Yeah. Last two matches were great. Overall, very uneven show. Yeah. Nowhere near the best effort they can do.
Yeah.
And I think they need to refocus a lot of the booking when it comes to getting people to do clean jobs and, without the need for all this protection and stuff like that. And it's look, it's going to be hard to convince people they need to lose, I imagine, but you got to do it, or else your whole shit is going to it's just going to keep going down and more unsatisfying. And it's just going to be like less investment from a lot of people. So there's your warning.
Yeah,
right there.
I think they'll do, now, because you got to also think that's lost in this is like, and I think people are putting this out, but like, I think it's understated. Like the amount of resources that were tied to these two matches between the Pillars match and Anarchy in the Arena, like Danielson, Moxley, Claudio, Yuta as a, utility guy, the Young Bucks, the best tag team of this generation, Kenny Omega, one of the greatest pro wrestlers of all time, Hangman, one of the best champions in the last 5 years of pro wrestling, the last decade of pro wrestling. That's a lot of acts that were tied together that were put into all this stuff. Oh, and then also you throw in the Pillar stuff where MJF, Jungle Boy, Guevara, and Darby is like, that's a lot of individual and tag acts or whatever else that were put into just slotted into two matches. And like, I feel like, that 2 hours and 40 something minutes stretch of, this ain't good enough. Like that will be rectified shortly. The more they break this stuff up and they move on from this, like once we get past like, what do you call it? Once we get past like Blood and Guts, we think, or whatever else, like we start getting into,
we need to start breaking these matches up in the singles and tags.
Once they start stabilizing this card or whatever else, I think we'll be back to cooking. I think we will.
Yeah, but I guess, James, at this point, I need to install. So, actually, before I do that, I'll do a quick cheap plug for myself. So, have you guys ever listened to the One Nation Radio intro? If you do a podcast or anything, like, damn, I'd like to have Rich do my intro. Hit me up. There will be a link in Fiverr, a Fiverr link in the description. That is a service I will be offering, and check it out, and we'll get your audio right.
So, like, Fiverr is almost like Cameo for rap, or in this case, rap.
Yeah, you can call you can say that. So,
are you taking are you taking requests?
I am.
No, not like just intros or whatever else. Like, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll hit you up. I want you to make something that make something real stupid. So,
God damn it. So the last time you did this, that's work off air.
It's kind of funny. I was thinking exactly that. it's time for the EP.
My God.
Oh man.
So without further ado, I guess it's time to hit the music. Stardom.
Okay, so
what the fuck is going on?
Do you want to get to it now, or do you want to just go through the card real quick and then we get to it at the end? I'm imagining.
Go ahead, take us through the card, James.
Okay, so Flashing Champions pay-per-view. Last year was more of the Night of Champions setting where like every title was defended. I believe we'll see how this goes, but like I believe they decided to split this up between the two. Like they're having a Midsummer Champions pay-per-view. I believe I think this is early July. But what they did with this is they had trios match and then a title versus title match between the red belt and white belt in the main event. Overall, general thoughts on this card was it was better than the AEW show. Like after watching that and then watching, there was like, oh, that was a better show. But at the same time, I was like, given the standard of what these two promotions normally do on pay-per-view, I was a bit down. And also, this is like, I still feel because of what is happening with the uploading schedule in Stardom being so far behind on stuff that like I'm still kind of dealing with the afterglow of All-Star Cinderella, which is like one of the greatest shows ever. And I was like, well, am I supposed to be upset that they can't match a show that had like 6 to 7 matches that had 6 to 8 matches that had 4 stars? So whatever. But I still would say like at worst this is a good show, probably very good. But running through it, they put Shuri in the opener with Aya Sakurai, the karate girl, the rookie. Versus Ram Kaichu and Mike Ozaki. Mike Ozaki basically just bullied around Aya and ended up being there with a torture rack, made her tap out. Ended up giving this 2 2.25. A lot of it was goofing around with Ram because Ram, comedy wrestler, blah blah blah.
I see Shuri on that Utami plan.
Well, I forgot what she was doing last pay-per-view. I can't remember, but she's doing better than what Tommy was at the time, but it still is like, oh, okay. She's kind of just floating around. I think it's also an issue where like, normally in this situation, they would have had her be tag champions with Mirai, but they decided to do her and Mirai and Ami. So like, so right now she's kind of just, doing trio stuff on house shows. And we'll see what happens with the generational thing they're going to do. We haven't talked about that since they've done that. Generational thing they're doing is, they had, it's not officially up yet, but upload on the show, on Stardom World, but like Suzu Suzuki has basically called forth Micah and Utami and Kamatani and, had those four call out, like, you know, basically the main eventers of the promotion: Julia, Tam, Mayu, and Shuri. And at the Cork and Hall show on, I think next week on the 4th, they're going to have a 8-person tag match. And we'll see what happens from there. They also are having Micah do a lot of tag matches with Suzu and Mei Sierra, formerly Hoshizuki. Because like Suzu and Mei have been tagging around a lot so far, so like they might be on the lookout for if possibly, you know, Micah moves into another faction.
So Hazuki didn't go on no podcast and start crying about how this is stupid or anything.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Neither did Momo. Neither did Azumi.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Didn't happen.
Okay.
No.
Thanks, Ricky.
Right. Right. So, after that, they didn't get into announcements. They announced the Grand Prix. It's 20 people this year. Last year was 26. It's 20 this year. They announced 18 people. They announced Mayu, Hazuki, Tam, Nasapoi, Sayoriano, Mina, Utami, Azumi, Kamatani, Shuri, Mirai, Ami, Julia, Micah, Natsuko, Kid, Momo, and Suzu. That's 18. So, like...
Natsuko will try hard.
Huh?
She'll try hard.
Oh, yeah, I think so. I just think that if I'm going to... In this promotion, is she one of the 18 most talented wrestlers? Not even close. So, you know, whatever. There are people on here that, like... So, for example, right, Saki Kashima's not on here. Kaguma's not on there. Ida's not on here. So like, what Hannah's not on there. So what they're doing is they're having a battle royal on June 18th to decide the last 2 slots who gets in. They're not going to do the Geek Grand Prix. They're just going to do a battle royal, and the last 2, I guess, make it. So look forward to that. But moving on, second match on the card, you have Queen's Quest versus Oedo Tai. You have Utami, Kamatani, and Hina versus Kid, Ruaka, and Rina. So, I'm going to keep mentioning it as a running gag. Like, because of the upload schedule, you've missed a lot of stuff that's happened since, in the last, like, I think the last show they've uploaded was Himeka's, thing from 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. They just you don't know when they uploaded that? Yesterday. So, anyway,
hey, Sonny. Come on, Sonny.
Bro, what's
the deal? What's the deal, dog? You overworked, dog? What's going on here, man?
So, since Kamatani lost the match at Yokohama Arena and lost the white belt, she's been tagging with Utami on Road 2 shows, and ends up being a malfunction at a junction. One of them botches and hits the other one, or causes the other one to get banana peeled and pinned, and they walk off, and there's growing frustration with each other. And it's all happening at the same time while they're doing this generational struggle that they're calling it with, you know, Kamatani, Utami, and the rest versus the main eventers. Main event mafia, if you will. So, that looks like they're going to reach a boiling point at some point. And in this match, Utami gets up, I think it was Rina, like in a deadlift, German position, and Kamatani's going to come off with a missile drop kick. So they're going for the missile drop kick, you know, lift German combination. Rina escapes, I believe, and obviously Kamatani drop kicks Utami. Utami gets up, and they start scrapping. They just start throwing elbows at each other. It gets broke up. Kamatani's a legal person. It was Ruaka actually that was up in the air. So Ruaka and Kamatani keep going. Eventually, Kamatani ends up getting Ruaka gets her with a flash Hurricanrana, and Utami stops. You can see in the camera shot, stops, I think it was Starlight Kid from getting in the ring, bringing it to the pin. So after Kamatani gets the pin, Utami just storms off. Like, she gets in the ring to get her hand held up. Rina's the one holding her hand. And she's in between Kamatani and Rina. I'm sorry, and Utami. And Utami just storms out, and Kamatani follows after. And it's still building. We'll see where it ends up going in a month or in 3 months, whenever it gets uploaded. But yeah. So, but it was a good match. I'm giving it 3. Then you end up getting Stars versus Stars versus Club Venus. Mayu, Hazuki, Kaguma, and Hanan versus Waka, Mariah, Xena, and Jessie. Yeah, so I'm gonna power through. I'm just gonna power through.
No,
I'm gonna power through.
Off their material.
I'm powering through. We're not talking about that because we're not talking about that. We're gonna power through. So Kaguma on the house shows and Mariah have been doing this running gag where like Kaguma tries to get Mariah to do the bear stuff, the bear pose, and Mariah looks like she's about to do it. And last second, she decides to start like slipping her disc and shaking her ass. Right? She's trying to throw something. She ain't throwing none, but that's neither here nor there. She's trying and give A for effort, I guess. So that's been a running gag where she starts twerking and then, it pisses off Kaguma and they go from there. So they do the same thing. They try to do the whole thing. And then, all of a sudden while it's happening, Kaguma starts yelling out, "No sexy!" So it's just hilarious. No sexy. And then they keep going at it. But, at the end of this match, with,
Kaguma need to go ahead and assimilate.
I can't call it, but, it is funny. Basically in this match is, Hanan goes down to the final stretch with Jessie, and then, Hannah ends up slapping on her flash finish pin, ends up getting the pin on Jessie, and but it is a good match. It's fun, a lot of teamwork stuff or whatever else. I'm just fast forwarding through this because we talked like 2 hours on a pay-per-view show, the AEW pay-per-view. So anyway, outside on the floor, Mayu and Mariah are teasing a IWGP Women's Title match. We'll see whether or not that happens. I don't think it will, but always be teasing matches. Next match after that, you end up getting Micah and Suzu and May, Sierra versus Nanai, Yuna Mizumori and Hanako, the 6 foot rookie, and Micah and Nanai got in the ring together, and like they're always great together, and you see them just beat the shit out of each other. It's fun. And then you get Suzu in there with Nanai, and like Suzu, she's great and she's tough as fuck and all that kind of stuff, but she's still short. And Nanai is Nanai. So it's just like they just beat each other up, and that's fun. And Nanai's in there it's very good. And then like when Nanai's not in there, it drops down a level, obviously. But it was still a fun match. At the end, they end up having Sierra. Sorry.
I'll say I see you has not been back.
Yeah, has not been back. Yeah, and Nanai still doing her regular dates. But we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, at the end, you end up with Hanako in there, and also May Sierra, and May Sierra's winning with a running drop kick. I did not know this was 1985, but whatever. We obviously, I mean, I don't know what the rest of her stuff is or whatever else. I've only seen her wrestle maybe like 6 times, but like normally she pins somebody with a flash finish or whatever else. I didn't know her finish was running drop kick, but we'll see. We'll see how this goes. Then you end up getting the triple threat high speed match between Azumi, Saki, and Death. And there was a botch by Azumi early in this match where she gets both of them on the floor in the corner, and she goes to do her corner dive, and she slipped off the ropes, and she landed her side first, like ribs, onto the connector from the turnbuckle to the post. That shit like it hurt so bad. And then from there, they just got back in the ring, just moved on to the next sequence of stuff, and like you forgot it happened like 30 seconds later and moved so goddamn fast. Death was great in this match. Saki was great in this match. Azumi after the botch was herself, which is great. And they teased so many near falls and stuff that even got me. And I've seen them wrestle, do the high speed near fall stuff a million times. This match was really short, but this match it went like 4 minutes longer, I could have been chalked into going 4 stars on this. That's how like awesome all 4 of them were. At the end, they have Azumi on the outside trying to get back in. They knock her off the apron as she tries to like springboard back in, and then off the ropes comes Death with the O'Connor roll, and Saki ends up getting out and up to her feet, and then hits her flash crucifix pin and gets the win. She is now the high speed champion. Azumi didn't have to do a job. I saw people have complaints about like she was such a long standing champion. Great champion. You would like somebody to, you know, obviously hand it down, all that kind of stuff. And I would say I agree with you, while also knowing like the history of the high speed title. Like Hazuki lost that belt to Riho by not getting pinned. Riho lost that belt to Azumi by not getting pinned. It just happens to happen in these high speed matches for some reason. But Saki's the champion. The crowd was very happy for her. She's
first
over.
belt ever, right?
It's her first singles belt ever. Yes. She cried. She was so happy. Sorry.
Look at that. Look at Saki prospering.
Yeah. Yeah. And like
thriving.
The thing that's funny is when I've watched her over the years, I've always thought like she could be in the high speed division, but she never really ever like had any interest until this year. She had a match earlier in the year with Azumi, high speed match that she almost won. She lost, and then Azumi just kept going, and then she got the rematch here and got into a 3-way, and she ended up pinning Death. And obviously, Death's a dead ringer, so it's a really fun match. And Saki's champion. Obviously, the person that you think is eventually going to get it is May Sierra, but in the time being, like her next defense will be a singles match versus Death, so that should be very good, and then we'll go from there. We'll see how long she holds it. Like I feel like Stardom's in this pattern now, or not pattern, like they're in the habit of breaking all the patterns and cycles they have right now. Like it used to be, you think about like the white belt champion. All right, let's start with Hoshiki, or actually let's start with Momo. Momo's a champion from when she took it off Io because Io was leaving for WWE. She lost it a year later to Hoshiki. Hoshiki carried it for almost a year, or actually just past a year. No, I'm sorry, almost a year. She retired. Belt goes to Julia. Julia had it for 8 months. Belt goes to Tam. Tam had it for 9 months. Belt goes to Kamitani. Kamitani had it for like 15 months. Red belt. Mayu had it for 11 months. Utami had it for like 13 months. Shuri had it for a year. Short title reign for Julia. You look at the high speed thing. Azumi set the high speed defense record. So like, they're starting to move these titles now. I feel like they kind of feel like, you're used to long champions. Now we're going to start shocking into the system to kind of get like people to feel like if there is a challenger with a pulse, you're going to now believe that they can actually win, as opposed to like, they're going to lose 2 times before they eventually get it. I feel like that's a call for the best. Do I want like, everybody gets the belt for 2 months? No, that's stupid. But, if you got to if you look at yourself and be like, hey, everybody feels like nobody can ever win until they get to the, 6-month mark, then that is a problem. But yeah, moving on from there, the tag team titles. Mirai and Ami versus Momo and Natsuko. I think this is the worst Momo match I've ever seen.
Ooh.
Not to say that it's bad, I am giving this 3 1/4, but for the length of time it went, I don't think I've ever seen a Momo match that went over 10 minutes that like left me just like, how much time has gone by? It just didn't work out. It just didn't work out. Mirai and Momo were actually good in this match. It's just Natsuko and Ami, they just weren't on. They didn't have it, and didn't work out. So, they cheated a little bit. Obviously, guys like thwarted it, and at the end, you end up having Natsuko going up after cheating to try to hit a swanton bomb to get the win, and Mirai gets out the way. And as Natsuko gets up or misses the swanton, Mirai capitalizes and hits her with a flash finish and gets the win. I ended up giving it 4 or 3.25. I was surprised. I was surprised that this match wasn't better, honestly. But anyway, after this, Queen's Quest pulls up. Queen's Quest and Oedo Tai start fighting, and it's not translated. I don't know what's happened in these shows that aren't uploaded or translated. No idea. I don't know if they've been going at it for a while. I have no idea. But they want a match. They're going to do a faction versus faction cage match. And they're going to do it, I want to say the 25th of next month. So there'll be plenty of time to build matches or build up what they're going to do with each other. Also, like, I think that also ties in what's going on between Kamitani and Utami. Will another Queen's Quester defect over to Oedo Tai? Is that in the cards? All that. So, and also, like, it's about time that they got to a Queen's Quest versus Oedo Tai match after Momo turned heel, where it's like, this feels like a blow off of what happened. Like, they just never did anything after that happened last year. Or at the end of last year. I'm sorry, the end of 2022, my bad. I'm sorry, the end of 2021, I'm sorry. It's not just, this happened a few months ago. This happened like a year and a half ago where this happened, and they never, any resolution, just dropped it off and never did anything with it. So, some main event, trios title match, restart, Kairi, Natsupoi, and Sayori versus Julia, Tekla, and Mai. This match was fun as fuck. You get a section of Sayori with Julia. You get a section of Julia beating the shit out of Kairi and then Kairi firing back from underneath. You get Tekla and Poi to start off. And, like, it was just fun as hell. The final two come down to Julia and come down to Sayori. And, like, it looks like Sayori's going to put Julia away, and then Julia slaps on her, the Ganasuke clutch, like her flash finish. And, like, just catches Sayori and pins her. So, like, restart, VO ass faction or group. Yeah, VO, much like CM Punk. So, Julia lost her red belt within a month and 3 days. Trios champion. They keep a belt on her whenever they can. The similar thing happened when she lost the white belt. She was tag champion like next pay-per-view. But yeah, fun match. I can see people going to full 4 on this. I ended up going just short, but yeah, super fun. Then the main event, Tam versus Mina. So there's stuff missing because of the obviously gap in down upload times. But from what I have pieced together on this whole thing, of this build, from what people have said, is that Mina has, like, she won the white belt, and because she won the white belt, she wants the world. She's open challenges Tam, or open challenges, but like challenges Tam to a belt versus belt match, and she says in the build to it, like, yeah, and after I beat Tam, I'm going after Mayu. I want to be a Triple Crown champion. So Tam on her end is like, hey man, you ask for too much. I didn't ask you for a title match. If you wanted a red belt match, I give it to you, but you want to throw yours on the line? All right. I ain't gonna turn down the title shot. And in the build to this, Tam said that Mina is a fake Tam. You can't beat the fake. You can't beat the real with the fake. This match happens.
Bro, what about the part where Mina Shirakawa was like, I dedicate this to my father won't come to these matches, and like I will have an empty seat waiting for him, and then she fucking loses?
Well, let me get through the match and then you can say
my fault. I thought that was part of
that's how you build up to all
bad
that stuff.
audio, my bad.
So yeah, she said that like her father is more or less ashamed, embarrassed, whatever you want to call it, that she's chosen this profession. And like a lot of her inspiration comes from watching New Japan Pro Wrestling and watching, being a huge fan of Liger, huge fan of Muda, obviously. And, obviously, she's due to Romero special. She hasn't done it as much. Now she's doing more of the figure 4 stuff and, more of the Muta stuff, and especially with like the haberdashery she's been wearing of late, the flashiness. So they had her match, end up outside on the floor. Tam does a dive, she goes for more on the floor, and Mina gets her up and drops her on the floor knees first. Pulls up the ring mats, drops her on the knees again. They end up on the ramp, top of the ramp, and Mina goes to try to drop Tam knees first onto the top of the ramp. Tam escapes and then hits her with the big back suplex onto the top of the ramp, and it back in the ring. And Tam's in control. Mina fights her way back with big slaps and kicks, and working on, and then gets Tam's leg and keeps working back on that leg. Tam can't do nothing with the leg. Excellent selling. And then, like, Mina gets up Tam after working over her leg, after already having her in the long figure 4 lock, and Tam fought for the ropes after a long trip. Mina gets Tam up, and Mina had just established this new finisher, like the basically her Mina driver, except like with the legs, the figure 4 Mina driver, where she crosses the legs and drops you. After she tapped out Kamatani beat Kamatani with it, beat Natsupoi with it. Her third championship match involving this stuff, worked over the legs to perfection, like her game plan like it normally is. Goes to drop Tam with the figure 4 driver, and Tam kicks out. And then Mina wants to start crying. She almost breaks. She tries to get her back up to go for it again. Tam escapes. Tam fights back. It ends up going to a tie. Basically, they both fall to the ground to get back up. Tam then from there beats her to the punch, gets Mina on the ground, hits her with the big bicycle knee. That there's a video meme of like watching Natsupoi's face reaction when she hits her with this, where like she hit her so hard that like Natsupoi like short circuited, like she's like tweaked. She starts tweaking. Tam then gets Mina, gets her up, hits her with the Natsupoi big looping spin kick. Then hits the Twilight Dream, and then hits the Violet Screwdriver. Then hits the Twilight Dream, and pins Mina in 17 minutes in a match that everyone thought was going to a 30-minute time limit draw. I get this match 4 1/4. I thought this match was great. I do not like the idea of you have a baby face that people wanted. They had a great story, and then they beat her they gave her one defense, and then they beat her within like 40 days of her getting her conquering championship. That's fundamentally bad. It's fundamentally bad. I don't care. I don't care what it means. I don't care what it means for Tam. I'm not talking about that. What they did was a bad idea, and like the way that this storyline has gone, where Mina shows up with at Sumo Hall on the 29th of December with Club Venus. She is still with Cosmic Angels and with them, and making these faces like she looks like she's emotionally, struggling with what she wants to do with being, want to start on faction or just stay with Tam or just make it a subunit or whatever else for all these months. Get to the go home shows for Yokohama Arena, and then drop the bomb on Tam and break up Cosmic Angels 6 days before both of them are going into the white belt and red belt title matches. They both win together, and then immediately they feud with each other, and then 40 days later it has one of them lose the belt instead of building towards this over months. I don't get this. They shot half a year worth, 3 months, half a year worth of shit in the span of 40 days. This was way too fast. This was regardless of the general plan of we need to, jolt the system with, or we fully need to jolt the system with like giving people matches that people think are going to result in time limit draws, and then giving them actual finishes, or we're not going to have super long title runs. Cool. You don't do this to somebody that was in the middle of something. I don't want to say special, but in the middle of something really hot. I don't get that.
Like, she won the title in incredible fashion. Like, she's been geeked out. This is like this is not good. Like, you know, she defended the belt once against Natsupoi and then drops it. And then it's like, yo, now what? Like, and then I heard it was like some type of thing. She was like, yeah, you can rejoin Cosmic Angels as like the number 4 person or some shit like that after. I'm like, is that really going to happen? Like, I hope not.
No. Tam was just being a dick.
Oh,
because like, she's still upset that, okay, so from me perspective, it was like, I love this woman. She's taught me everything. I don't become the wrestler I am without her because she's such a great leader. But similar fashion to when Tam left Mayu, like, you can't be number 1 while being number 2. Someone's number 2. You just can't do it, right? Plus, you throw in the stuff of like, I wanted to win the tag belts with Tam. Never happened. She wins them immediately with Natsupoi. Clearly, like, there's something wrong with me. I'm the problem. I need to look inward and like need to try to figure this stuff out on my own. Like, maybe I need to, you know, try the leadership route. Starts Club Venus, you know, becomes starts out, they start out hot, they're selling a bunch of merchandise, she wins a belt, it finishes the story from what happened when she got her face knocked out, or her teeth knocked down her throat, to this. Great triumphant, great redemption story, right? Great story of like when she, you know, that promo she cut like after she got her teeth knocked out in front of the camera, was like, I'm gonna come back from this, and like to prove to people that like I am a wrestler and like there's hope. Like, because if I don't do this, then I failed in everything I've tried to do for the last however many years. And then she does it, and you're happy for her. And like, she had the match with Natsupoi, and like that match was great. And like, we're going to just feed her, you know, consistently really good, you know, talent in these semi advances. She can handle it, and that was the main event of that particular pay per view.
Yeah, man.
And then they just like, for 2 weeks later after that, just cut off. Like, do it in a vacuum. Do I want to see a Tam Mina 30-minute title match? Not really, because I think like the time they went is like that's the best case scenario for both of them as far as maximizing what they can all do together, right? Because so much of what Mina does is influenced by Tam, and what Tam is good at, it's because the same thing that Mayu's really good at. Get your ass beat to death, fight back like and scrap like crazy, and then get into a tie ball game, and so you're going down the final stretch, and anyone can win. It's just simple stuff they do. Like, a back and forth with them, Mayu can do that because Mayu's more talented and versatile than Tam and Mina are. But like, even Tam struggles at length to go have a back and forth match unless it's with someone that's like at the top of the card, like Julia, Shuri, or Mayu, or whatever else. Mm-hmm. Mina, we're just now getting Mina to the point where it's like, we can consistently have her with a game plan to stay, you know, ahead or be an underdog baby face that can beat anybody or also lose to anybody. And she was showing that like she could have 15-minute matches and can have great matches. So like from that part is like you killed her character and also you like cut off her growth potential because of like what she had shown over this year. I don't, they're up to something. I don't know what it is. But I didn't like this. I didn't like this for Mina at all. I didn't like this for Mina. It was wrong. Like, if you want to do the match eventually or whatever else and then do the title change, cool. Do it 4 months later, 5 months later. Do it like the first pay-per-view after the Grand Prix. But 40 days?
Yeah. It
was less than 40 days. But 40 days.
Is this too much? Is this too much for Tam now? Is this just like overkill? It's like,
I didn't even think about I'm not even thinking about what they're doing with Tam. Like, the only thing that comes to mind is like, she's retiring soon. And like, it almost, in a way, it almost feels like, well, I did not put her over at the time when she should have been put over, and she's always been like basically employee of the month and done a million jobs for this, a million like jobs like outside of like the ring stuff where she's like a secretary. She does a voiceover for the We Are Stardom recap show. She does everything for this company and was doing it for years and was selling merch and all that kind of stuff. And we never valued that. And like, she was always top champion, even though we never pushed her to the level of a Julia or Hoshiki or whoever else. And she was more over these people. And like, now And now that like the clock seems like it's running out, now it's like, all right, well, let's you done everything we ever asked you for. We didn't appreciate you. So let's now like heap all this stuff upon you now. And it's like, well, cool. But like Tam's not, so they're not, so the official thing is this isn't like, they're not combining the titles.
I would hope not.
No, they're not.
And then the IWGP's in there. Like, I that's what I thought. I was like, man, are they gonna do? Or is this white belt on the way out? Like,
no. So that's the thing that people have concerns about. Like, because we're not in uncharted territory. Because like the company is kind of predictable as far as like what is the long term track of what these people are, or who's gearing up for what, who's going to have their big triumphant moment. Now they're at a point where it's like, all right, we're kind of breaking this and make like, I guess the B and C pay-per-views to feel more like anything can happen. Like, you can see anything. So
yeah,
they, Tam has no intention of defending the red and white belt match, or red and white belt in the same match. Like, one will be a red belt match, one will be a white belt match. Who knows how long she will be red or white belt champion, whatever, it doesn't matter. But she's not going to do that. So remember, like, Mirai, she won the Cinderella tournament. She never decided on what belt she was going after, red or white. After this match, and after Tam tells Mina, like, if you want to come back, you can be the fourth. You can be number 4. You were number 2. You were 2 A's, 2B, depending on whoever was in that boy, or Unagi. You come back and be number 4 now. Obviously, Mina goes off crying, and says like she'll come back from this. Like, I have an idea what they could do, but whatever. Like they can obviously do a rematch down the line eventually and have Mina get the belt back from Tam. Whatever. But I don't really love that idea either. But whatever. Put both belts on Tam.
Real killing.
Sorry?
Like that's like a real like demolition of a character, like of like, yo, why did they do that to them? And then like the dad part
it's real
too.
Dusty
like,
Rosian, isn't it?
It's like, yo, they just cut your legs off, like Mother Joe.
They killed the momentum. Yeah, you stupid Mother Joe. So Mirai comes out. Mirai challenges for the white belt. That's going to be at I think it's at the July pay-per-view. I think it's at the early July pay-per-view. So from the Tam Mean perspective of the build of it, Tam was like, hey, I knew you were going to leave eventually. I didn't think you were going to leave like the week before our fucking title matches. Like I wanted to celebrate and all that kind of stuff together. This sucks. I feel betrayed. And then she started, they were going back and forth sniping each other. And then eventually in that meantime, Tam's burying her saying like, you're a fake Tam Nakano. And then she fucking beats her. And it's like, then she says, hey, if you want to, you come back and be 4th. And then like, I guess today, right? Today. So that story, the thing you mentioned about how Mina, she left a ticket for her dad to show up. I don't know whether her dad attended, but today there was.
I thought I heard he did, and then she lost.
Either way, it sucks. Showing up, not showing up. Either way, it sucks. Because look, this is still the 3rd best match in Mina's career, singles match in Mina's career, whatever, right? So like, regardless. You got a great match. It's just it's a head scratching / heartbreaking loss. Continuing on with this, right? Thinking about that, right? That is the not part of the storyline. Just the stuff you're following as a person, the fan. That's just a news story that her dad showed up or she left a ticket for her dad to show up to this thing. Now that she's made it, right? I think today or last night, Tam did Tokyo Sports article about how supportive her parents are and how her dad gave her the advice that when Mina and Tsukiyama left, that is like, one of the investing or one of the important things or one of the fulfilling things of like being a leader is that like when you also have people that you led become leaders themselves, right? So like I'm reading that and I'm reading this with under the context of like Mina dad may or may not have showed up to that show, and then Tam like if we didn't know that they didn't like each other in real life, that you'd be like, oh, she's twisting a knife in kayfabe, like she's like, oh, your dad didn't show up? Well, my dad did. And that's why because I have a non-toxic, like, support structure around me. I'm like, oh, man, Tam is really out here between what she did to Julie and what she did to, what she's doing to me. Like, she is out here, like, acting like this is American pro wrestling and not Japan. Wait, she's being petty. It's awesome.
This is the good guy, you know.
Look, you know how that is when it comes to Japan. Both people are tweeners or whatever else, and you say mean things. She's a top champion. What you're rooting for is get people to, you know, for a title change. So she is pulling an Okada. She is, how do I say this? She is saying things that a surly prick would say. So, and in that case, in this particular situation, it worked. Like, I was hoping for a draw the whole time. And then once she got her up and hit her with the Vada screwdriver and then grabbed her immediately, I was like, oh, she's going to beat her. And then, like, she hit her with the Twilight Dream. I was like, oh, she's not kicking out. She's going to have 2 belts. She's the double champion. And I was like, this is so weird. Like, cause they gave her that losing stretch from what? When they lost the belts to 7-Up at Sumo Hall. She got beat inside of 6 minutes at the Tokyo Dome. They lost the first match in Triangle Derby. And then, like, from there, they basically won everything up until they got to the block final of Triangle Derby and lost. And then she, you know, she's winning her matches, whatever else. The people cycle out. She wins the red belt. She wins matches. She wins matches all the time now because obviously she has 3, you know, she has a 3-person faction that's all 3 good wrestlers that are pushed. And, like, now she's like, seemingly out of nowhere, she's the double champion. She's now, like, so now that she won the white belt again, she is now the 4th person to ever hold the white belt twice. Aki Yazakawa, Io Shirai, and Mayu Iwatani. She is now, or she was already, when she won the red belt, she became the 5th person to ever hold the red and white belt. Io Shirai, Mayu Iwatani, Kairi Hojo, and Julia and her. And now she's the 2nd person to ever hold the red and white belt at the same time. The only other person to ever do that was Mayu in 2017, and she didn't hold no 2 belts for long. Like, I think she lost like the white belt like a month after she won both or won the red belt. So I don't think this is a long-term thing. I think that Mariah's getting the white belt, and I'm just like, okay, so, like, if that's the case, I'm thinking about it. It's like,
just challenge for the red belt. Like, that's like, what are you doing? That's like
her logic.
You got a Money in the Bank briefcase and you want the fucking US belt. Like,
her logic was, I'm young. I still have plenty of years in me. And then Tam was like, that's stupid. That's exactly what Tam was like. That's dumb. That's dumb and egotistical. And your hubris is going to come and bite you. That you would think you have all these years of just compete. You're like, I am Tam Nakano.
Don't you know this is Joshi?
Yeah, don't you know this is Joshi? Don't you know that this is a promotion where if you are underdog babyface, that you will be chasing that motherfucker for years and years and years, and then you might finally get it, or you don't, or you get hurt and you leave. So, but let's say Mariah does, win the white belt, right? So, basically what this tells me...
Doesn't she immediately have to challenge her to a red belt match after that, or
that
what?
Too.
Like...
That too, and also it's like, all right, so y'all just never want to do the mean thing, but like people clamor for it, so you're like, fuck it, let's do it, let's just do it just to do it because people will say that we miss opportunity if we don't do it, but it's like, you did miss opportunity. It only went 40 days.
Yeah.
Not and it's like that. And it's like, all right, so you make somebody 2-time champions from the only be champion for like a month, 2 double champions for a month. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what they're doing. We're in a weird. Like, because the upload schedule is so far behind, I don't feel like I'm in tune with this promotion right now and everything they're doing. And also, like, they're doing this stuff, or not doing, their changes, they've made Tam like the ace out of nowhere. Do you ever think that was going to happen? I didn't.
No.
Like,
what happened to the game I love? Where is Utami? Where is Shuri? Fuck.
Like, it's really weird. Like, it's not that it's a bad thing. It's just, it's like, who asked for this? Like,
it's so overpowered Rich, now. It's like, what the fuck, bro? Like,
I don't even know about overpowered. I was, because it's like, if she faced anybody, you'd be like, all right, she's gonna drop one of these belts off immediately, right? But and that's also a problem. It's like, all right, I just think that, like, the only reasonable explanation for this is she's out of here soon. And they are trying to, and they were like, hey, we fucked around too long with this woman and wasted a lot of time. And now she's out the door. Let's maximize everything we can out of her and get her and get out the door, and then transfer whatever this big push into the next person that wins, whether it's Julia or a Starlight Kid or whoever. I really think that's what it is. But there's no way she can be double champion for long. There's no way this is this is something that goes past Grand Prix. She has to come off one of these belts. This ain't just a Tam thing. This is for anybody. I didn't want anybody to be a double champion.
You can't start the Grand Prix with 2 belts.
Like, there's too much talent on these cards for there not to be a two titles, right? Like,
right.
There's just too much talent. It's not practical, right? Like, and also, like, you think about that division that Tam and Mina carved out with their challengers over the last 2 years. Like, it was a distinct division where it's like, all right, it's Mirai, it's Natsupoi, it's Starlight Kid, it's Suzuki. And, like, those people feel different from someone challenging for the red belt. They just do.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's like, well, what pay-per-view if they challenge, when does this happen? Is Tam because it has to be pay-per-views, is Tam gonna defend each different belt every 2 weeks? Like, is she gonna die because of how she wrestles? Like, this is a thing that leaves you with more questions going into the future than answers. And, like, obviously the answer is, well, we have a tournament that'll figure some of this shit out. But it's like, I have more questions than answers. I don't know where this company is going right now, as far as its direction, its long-term direction, other than, like, eventually it's all going to come back to Julia in some way, some shape or form, or whatever else it has to. But outside of that, so I was thinking, like, maybe Kamatani wins the Grand Prix this year. Now I'm thinking, like, I don't know. I don't have a good feeling on who could win the Grand Prix right now. I don't know. I guess we'll see.
Yeah, it's not jumping out at me at the moment.
I guess we'll see in like a month or whenever some of this shit gets uploaded on the super delayed schedule. But, bro, it's going to be, this delay thing cannot be going through the Grand Prix. It's already bad enough when it's like they forget the penultimate show before the final, and, like, it might get uploaded like the day before the final, we even get to the finals. Like, they gotta, like, figure this stuff out. And obviously I know, like, a lot of the delay came from the Golden Week shows. They did a shit ton of shows in Golden Week. Like, they did 7 shows over the 9 days, but they gotta catch this up, and they gotta get this shit locked down, because, like, when you start, you mentioned, like, habit watching, when you start falling behind all this stuff, and then, like, you start seeing, like, you already see the spoilers online, because, like, not everybody's gonna be as crazy as I am when it comes to, like, hiding spoilers and all that kind of stuff away. So, like. Mm-hmm. They kind of got to get this shit together as far as what they're doing as far as uploads and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's been not bad, but bad in the sense of what they did to Mina. But outside that, like, it's just a general perplexing, and that's not something that you would have expected. Like, we all thought, oh, draw. And then Ross even tweeted, like, I know a lot of people expected a draw, and he's doing one of those things like, you thought. It's like, yeah, I also thought that, like, Mina was going to get a longer run in this. So, yeah. But that's all I got. We ran long as hell.
Yeah. But it's all good. Make sure you guys are sharing the show and all that, and, dropping the donations and helping your boys out. Would appreciate it.
Yep. Thanks for listening, y'all. This is the end of the show. Be sure to rate us on our app you're using to listen to this with. If you are, do we have it up? No, we don't. Yeah, go to the Red Circle. Donations. Go to our show links in the show notes in the description. Find our link to Red Circle and you can donate there. And be sure to listen to other shows on the network. Besides One Nation Radio, we have Keepin It Strong Style, the Ricky and Clive Wrestling Show, Grown Men Watch This Shit, the Grave Consequences Podcast, 8-Bit Suplex, All Things Elite, Great Match Generator, Get in the Ring, and Meet the Press Slam. Thanks for listening, y'all. Later.
Dream Machine Act 2 hits streaming June 2nd. Enjoy.
I'll put that up in the notes when you get it to me, all right? But yeah. Thanks for listening, y'all. Later.
Peace.